Good evening. I'm going to call this meeting of the Gloucester School Committee to order. It's December 15th. This meeting is recorded by video and audio in accordance with the state open meeting law, consistent with the governor's orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and banning certain gatherings, such that an in-person meeting of the Gloucester School Committee is not possible. This meeting will be conducted by remote participation. The public may not physically attend this meeting, but every effort will be made to allow the public to view and listen to the meeting in real time and participate when necessary. We are going to go into executive session for about an hour. We will reconvene in public at around 7 o'clock, and we will go through this. We'll start the public session here, but right now we're going to go into executive session. The school committee will meet in executive session pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, for the purpose of discussing collective bargaining with the GPA, Teamsters, FCC, the nurses, and will return to open session at approximately 7 o'clock. And I so move.
Second.
Read and then roll call vote.
Prince.
Yes.
Ms. Watson.
Yes.
Ms. Weason.
Yes.
Kathy Clancy.
Yes.
Mr. Plaza.
Yes.
And Chairman Pope.
Yes.
Melissa, can you,
Thank you, everybody. And we are going to go back into, we're going to reopen the meeting right now. And this meeting is recorded by video and audio in accordance with the state open meeting law, consistent with the governor's orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and banning certain gatherings such that an in-person meeting of the school committee is not possible. This meeting will be conducted by remote participation. The public may not physically attend this meeting, but every effort will be made to allow the public to view and listen to the meeting in real time and participate when necessary. If you're calling in on a phone, you can press *9 to request to speak. If you're watching on a computer or a device, there's a raise hand button that you can tap or press to request to speak. Please use either of these options during oral communications to be recognized to speak. We've been in executive session, as I said, and we're just coming back into public session. And I'll remind everybody that the mission of Gloucester Public Schools is for all students to be successful, engaged, lifelong learners. And I will ask you to join me in the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First order of business is oral communication. If there's anybody who would like to address the school committee, have some rules that I'll read. The public shall have the opportunity at every regular school committee meeting to be heard under oral communications. Oral communications shall allow any resident who has a request or complaint of any nature relative to the school committee business to appear before the school committee, state their problem without debate, and the matter may be referred to the proper subcommittee. For items that are on the agenda, members of the public may address the committee with the permission of the chair. Persons speaking under oral communications shall be limited to 3 minutes each and shall submit a copy of their prepared communication to the recording secretary. The school committee chair shall not allow complaints as to the individual performance or character. That being said, I will now open oral communications.
Rose is on there.
Okay. No, yellow. Matthew. And then.
Okay, I know.
yeah.
That's just for us,
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and we have Matthew Doherty who will recognize. Please state your name and address for the record.
Matthew Doherty, Cleveland Street. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Let me first say that I just want what is best for my children and the children of this community. At this point, we should all know the stats about COVID and its minimal effect on children. I find it disheartening that the members of this school board think it's a good idea to test healthy children for COVID. I find it disappointing that you also agree with keeping healthy children at home. It creates stress on parents and will also have a negative effect on the children. We will not be testing our healthy children, nor will we be vaccinating them. And for any parents who feel the same as we do, please reach out to me at Matthew Doherty, 2 T's in Matthew, DORITY @comcast.net to discuss how we can help each other. Together as caring parents and citizens, we will get through this. As for the members of this school committee, I encourage you to reach out to me as well. Show me the data that is guiding your decision to push the vaccine and mask mandates and quarantining of healthy children. It is your responsibility as members of the school board and advocates of these mandates, and by promoting this vaccine, to show me and members of this community how the vaccine and testing healthy children is having a positive effect. Without the vaccine and testing, there are no serious health issues among child populations. Vaccinations are not the answer. Healthy immune systems are. Again, my email is Matthew Doherty, 2 T's in Matthew, DORITY @comcast.net. Thank you.
Okay. We have former school committee member and newly elected city councilor, Mr. Gross.
Get the mute button ready. It's a loose cannon.
Easy now. I just wanted to chime in on this last meeting for a few of you. I've served with you all, some for decades in certain capacities. First, I'll start with Joel. Joel, I'd like to commend you and thank you for your last 6 years, I believe it is, of the hard work and dedication that it takes to be in this thankless job where everybody knows better than you. So I just want to start off thanking you first of all. Safathia, I'm sure we will continue to have our lively discussions. That won't change. We've been working together for a couple of decades now, I believe, and it's been a real pleasure and a joy. I have to say I've really enjoyed it, I guess is the best way to put it. And your dedication, your passion, and your zest for life is definitely going to be missed. But as I've heard you say on a few occasions lately at meetings I've attended, you're going nowhere. So we'll be looking forward to having more lively discussions and interactions in the future. Next, Jonathan, I'm glad to see that you're relaxing by your attire. No tie tonight. You know, your list of accomplishments while you're on the school committee is commendable. I was fortunate to serve 13 years with you. You've been there for 20 years. You led the good fight with the high school and the abomination of that renovation, and made the most of what we could salvage out of that to get things done right. You worked with the administration and the city to rectify the field house and the disaster and catastrophe that whole thing was. You've a couple of monumental feats of getting an override through with the help of with many others, but you were there, and building of 2 schools while you were there. You've done an awful lot. Newell Stadium, we have to give you a lot of credit for Newell Stadium. You've done amazing amount of work for this, and the city owes you a very big debt of gratitude, as I do. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. I think we all. Anybody else would like to speak under oral communications? Seeing none, I'm going to close oral communications, and we will move on to our next item. with the recognition. Superintendent.
Thank you. We have some recognitions here. Let me just get set up here before I do that. I don't want to do that. Stop that. Make sure I get the right thing that I'm presenting. So you'll notice that I'm wearing a different kind of mask tonight. It's a green bandana. It's over a regular mask, just so you know, because it's not an approved mask by itself. But we have Kaya and Camilla here tonight to tell us about the green bandana campaign that's happening at the high school and around the district. They're here tonight to show us how out of great tragedy, strength and leadership and coming together can happen. So in response to the tragic deaths of 2 Gloucester teens, Olivia Pike and Shanti Avila, and also the struggles that so many of us are having with through the pandemic with mental health. They're here to tell us about some of the steps they and the high school are taking with the Green Bandana campaign. So I'll put the slides up. That's where to start, and then you just tell me when to change them. But welcome to Kaya and Camilla. We're also here with Amy Cam. So let me just get this going.
Thank you so much, Superintendent. The Mental Health Ambassadors program trained us to understand mental health challenges and increase our awareness of depression and warning signs of suicide. We've also learned how to support someone who may be struggling with mental health. And we are on our way to try to decrease the stigma as much as we can throughout the high school. This year, more members have joined the program who are committed to raising awareness around mental health and wellness through different efforts. Camilla, my friend, another mental health ambassador, will speak about our most recent initiative, the Green Bandana campaign.
Over this past year, we have unexpectedly lost 2 young girls from our community. This being one of the key reasons that we brought the Green Bandana campaign to GHS. This campaign is used to show that no one has to struggle alone and that there's always support. This campaign didn't create support in GHS, it just put a new lens on students' eyes to show them where they could access it. This initiative was brought to our attention by one of our advisors, Amy Cam, and what started at a simple meeting during homeroom turned into a school-wide event in just a few weeks. In 2 days, we gave out 250 bandanas that were tied to backpacks, and we're now ordering more. The next step to this interest is bringing it to the elementary and middle schools. Our hope is to send a message of solidarity and that no one needs to struggle alone or in silence. And that's
So,
our pledge.
Those are our pledge cards that we created, and we were wondering if we could offer you all a green bandana, if that was possible.
And so the students are wearing these on their backpacks, right? As you showed right there.
Yeah.
Right there in that picture there.
Thank you so much.
And here's our pledge cards.
Thank you.
And so we can tie them to our cars or use them as masks or.
Yeah, and some of my teachers are actually tying them to the reflection in the mirror.
Great,
There's a
excellent.
pledge card. Thank you so much.
Then make sure you get me mine, please.
Oh, yeah, we'll get you one.
Thank you.
Of course. So great. There's a pledge card as well.
Thank you.
So much. There's a pledge card. Thank you so much.
As you can see on the back are resources.
Here's a pledge card. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
My tie? No. Bandana's covered. Don't worry about that. That can make problems clearly. Kaya and Camilla, before you go, tell us about the banner here.
So that is everybody in the school who got a green bandana. We gave them out at lunch and we had them sign them to show that they're all in this together and that nobody has to struggle alone. And so by signing that, it just like kind of gives more truth to that statement.
Absolutely.
And if you would like to, you can sign it as well. There's like no
The big
need
green
to.
markers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We have
I didn't know you were leaving, so thanks. Can we just make it? I have a lot to say, 'cause I'm really excited about this, and I'm just really proud of you guys, and thank you first of all for coming, right?
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I think, can you first, I have one question, how many mental health investors are there?
So we have about like 15 to 20.
Okay.
we have like senior ambassadors who went through a 75-hour training program, and we also have junior ambassadors. I myself am a senior, Camilla is a junior, and we have been working very hard to just bring this to life in the school.
Yeah, I mean, it's commendable, and the more that we talk about, I mean, it takes vulnerability to talk about anything that's hard, right? And
Yeah,
you guys are just modeling that for so many people. It's hard for adults, to talk about this openly. Good for you
thank you so much.
for modeling that first.
Thank you so much.
And tell us a little bit more about, because I know you want to go to middle school and elementary school,
Yeah,
but some about maybe adjusting some of the language on the pledge card. Can you tell us
Yeah.
about that?
our hope is to bring it to health classes in the middle school, and we want to change the cards so that they're more able for middle school students to understand. And elementary school students, because like fifth graders don't know what destigmatize means. And so we are looking to change them so they do have an understanding of what we're trying to do, but in their own language, I guess you could say. And so we're doing our best to work on that as soon as we're done at the high school. And we're very excited to move forward.
When Ms. Cam presented about the mental health ambassadors and the Green Bandana campaign at our principal leadership team meeting, they were very moved by your work, but also very excited to bring it to elementary school. So there's more work ahead for you. But thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Camilla or Kaya?
Jonathan, Sabathia has her hand up.
Fabio,
Yes, first of all, thank you. This is so much needed to let everyone know that we are together. The fact that in one lunch you have 250 bandanas out there means that, you know what, people are understanding the struggle that's happening. And first of all, I wanted to say, again, thank you so much. Hello, Senator Chara, somebody signed my name. But I wanted to say that there's also unity now for people who are out there that might not be able to find someone to talk to, or still have that I don't want to talk to someone. Just so you know, today we had a discussion with the superintendent, Ed Conley, about getting more resource officers, getting more people out to the schools to make sure that not as police officers, but as people out there you can find that trust so you can talk to someone. But the group Unity now is having walk-in services from 16 to 24. It's at the old Common Crow, the corner of Elm Street and Main Street, and across from the police station, but the entrance is on the side. We'll see anyone, we'll talk to you. The ambassadors are doing a great program, but don't rely just on your ambassadors. If you need someone to talk to, reach out to your ambassadors and they'll help you find Unity or someone. We are there for you, this whole school committee, whether, like I said, it's not because we have the word school committee or mayor. We all care, whether Joel or myself or Jonathan or retirement, whatever, we are here. We'll continue to advocate for a mental health illness. Amy, Cam, I can't thank you enough for bringing this forward, and your students. When your students are reaching out and telling you we're doing something, that means that they're seeing more than we see. And to take that initiative, bravo on all of you. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, all of you. It's just amazing. And I get emotional on this. It's a very, very difficult subject. And because of COVID and so many children that were stuck at home and couldn't speak to someone or couldn't talk. Camilla, you've been doing great, all of you. And I want to continue that. And like you said, you are our voices. You started with, Black Lives Movement. You started with the rights and racial movements and what you wanted in the school. And I heard you during the debates is what we need. And you're taking action. And I am so proud of you. And I will be here and look at Unity and anything you need in the schools. Don't be afraid to ask. We don't know if something's missing. We hear that everything's fine, but if you feel that there's something that's missing in the school and you need someone to bring it forward, you can talk to Ben. If not, I'll holler at him for you. Not a problem. I have no problem with that. The fact is, well, I won't be mayor, so you can't sue me. What can I say? But the fact is that I want to thank you all. This is very important. And yes, I look forward to wearing the green bandana. Someone signed my name. I am proud of all of you. I wish it was something. I wish we won a game. I wish we could say I'm proud because you did something, collected food. I'm proud of a subject that's very dear and near to me. Mental health illness is something you can't see. Mental health illness is something you don't know is there, and unless someone has someone to reach out to, you just don't know what could happen. And it's hard that we lost 2 children. I don't want to lose any more. Every day someone is thinking about taking their lives. And whether it's a child or an adult, we need to reach out. And the only way we can reach out is to show unity. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Camilla and Kai, thank you for your work.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank
And
you.
it
And Amy,
really-
thanks for your leadership.
Yeah, thank you.
And anything you need, please let us know. Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Okay, we'll continue with recognition.
I'm gonna pull a point of order right now and take away your gavel and take over the meeting for a few seconds, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
All yours.
Thank you.
Can I leave?
Yeah. So as you all know, this is our last regularly scheduled school committee meeting where we have Mayor Safathia Romeo taken here with us, member Jill Pavaza, and Chairman Jonathan Hope. So in honor of that, we want to recognize all 3 of you at this last meeting, our last scheduled meeting. Senator Bruce Charr is here to be part of that recognition. So we're gonna let him speak first to what he would like to say. And then after, the committee as a whole would like to weigh in as a group.
Okay. It's better than Ben Lomas, but you have to go with my name.
So thank you, Senator Tapper, for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you very much. And it's always an honor and a pleasure to be with this committee and to be with folks who are so dedicated and committed to the education of our children in the city of Gloucester and in the Gloucester Public Schools. And I just want to take a minute to say how proud I just was to see a shining example of that with Kaya and Camilla, exemplifying exactly what we can hope for our students, for leadership, compassion, understanding, and reaching out to help others and finding a way to do it. And I can't think of a better example than the one that we just saw. And I too want to congratulate them, as all of you have, and encourage them to continue on the path of leadership that they are on, and would also ask if they need help in any way that we can provide as a legislative delegation. We would be receptive to any request to be able to do that with all of you. And along those lines, I also want to give the regards tonight of Representative Ferranti, who could not be with us. We all know that she is dealing with a number of challenges, and she very much wanted to be here and wants me to tell all of you how much she values the work of this committee, as well as the administration of the Gloucester Public Schools. And I know that in time she will want to offer her own individual and personal congratulations to the folks who are leaving the committee. That being said, it is a real honor to be able to come and congratulate 3 members of the committee who are departing, and to thank you all for the work that you have done to be able to deal with the day in and day out issues that our school system presents that need to be addressed, and need to be addressed by folks who are willing to make a personal commitment of time and energy and spirit and understanding to be able to come to the table regularly at these tables and make decisions that will strengthen the school system and to be able to deal with the contingencies that arise. And we all certainly know that over the last 18 to 24 months, there have been a number of those contingencies. And one of the things that has been most critically important is to not lose sight of the fact that kids continue to need to be able to learn and need to have the opportunity every day to have education. And that has meant various configurations. It's meant various challenges for the way that that education is delivered. But it was never in doubt in this community, because of all of you, that that educational opportunity was not going to be withheld and it was not going to be interrupted. And that speaks volumes about the leadership of the members of this committee. And so I want to begin, Joel, with thanking you for your good work and your attentiveness and your attention to detail and your understanding of the issues that face our school system. And again, I know that it is involved in an amount of personal sacrifice, time out of a busy life and busy schedule, but you have always found the time and the capacity and the bandwidth to carefully consider the things that affect our kids. And for that, I want to offer my congratulations and that of Representative Ferranti. And we do have some documents here for you that I'll present to you as I depart, but we have some citations. And the first one is from myself and my colleagues in the Massachusetts State Senate. And this reads, and I need to get the right one before I go forward. This reads, be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Joel Favazza of the Gloucester School Committee in recognition of your years of dedicated and committed service as a member of the Gloucester School Committee. And be it further known that the Massachusetts Senate extends its best wishes for continued success, that this citation be duly signed by the President of the Senate and attested to and a copy thereof transmitted by the Clerk of the Senate. And this is signed by our Senate President, Karen Spilker. It's attested to by our Clerk, Michael Hurley. And I am proud to offer it on December 15th of 2021.
Thank you.
In addition, we have a citation from the Massachusetts House of Representatives, which reads similarly. I note that the superintendent is hoping that a check is going to fall out again with more Chapter 70 funding.
There should be a check.
Would you like me to shake it? Oh, thank you. Trying to keep these all straight. And so this, again, from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the House of Representatives, it reads, be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Joel Favazza in recognition of your years of service to the Gloucester Public Schools and the Gloucester School Committee. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for continued good fortune and continued success in all endeavors. And this is given the 9th day of December, 2021 at the State House, Boston, Massachusetts, by Ronald Mariano, the Speaker of the House, and our friend and state representative and colleague, Ann Margaret Ferranti.
Thank you.
Now, keep track of a lot of paperwork here. As they say on television, wait, there's more. And so this one is from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, presented to Joel Favazza, and it reads, on behalf of the citizens of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I am pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation in recognition of your many years of dedicated and committed service to Gloucester Public Schools and the city of Gloucester. This 15th day of December in the year 2021 by Charles D. Baker, Governor of the Commonwealth, and Karen E. Polito, Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth. Joel, thank you. It is an honor to be able to come and to recognize you, and thank you for your service to our children.
Thank you.
So,
Check.
you're searching these,
Look at everyone.
you're searching these very carefully. I know that. So next, it is a real honor, John, to be able to come and congratulate you and thank you. You have been such an iconic, charismatic, conscientious leader for so many years for education in the city of Gloucester. And I have personally been able to witness your effectiveness in your work when the chips are down, when the going gets tough, when the challenge seems as big as it could possibly be. Jonathan Pope rises to the occasion. And whether that's been troubleshooting the various building issues that former member Tony Gross referred to, or whether it's been on a pedagogical level, trying to advance the state of teaching and the modalities of teaching and education in our schools. You have been a tireless advocate, and in many ways, you have been the face of education in this city, as you have worked so hard and had such undeniable commitment and relentless dedication that we all owe you an incredible debt of gratitude for the years that you have served and the true commitment that you have had. And John, I know that it seems like at times almost a 24-hour-a-day proposition for you. I'm suspecting that when you leave the committee, you will not know what to do with all the time you will find that you now have, because there's been so much of it given to us. And it's hard to properly express gratitude for that because of the enormity of it, and because who you are and who you have been and who you continue to be as an advocate for public education, not only in this city, not only on Cape Ann, but in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And there have been many days when I've been on the receiving end of fairly passionate calls from you, and those have been appreciated. And there have also been many times when you and Representative Ferranti and I have had conversations about public policy, and not only about what's good for Gloucester, but about what's good for education. You have been a remarkable resource for us, and you are truly a distinguished member of this community and a distinguished member of the educational community. So I do have, I'll read first the citation from the House, and it reads, "Be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Jonathan Pope in recognition of your years of service to the Gloucester Public Schools and the Gloucester School Committee. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all endeavors." And this was given on the 9th day of December, 2021 at the State House, Boston, Massachusetts, by the Speaker, Ronald Mariano. And this was offered by our good friend, our colleague, State Representative Ann Margaret Ferranti. Now, I'm going to keep passing those to you because I know you want to search them apparently. So, and next, from myself and my colleagues in the Senate, be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Jonathan Pope of the Gloucester School Committee in recognition of your 20 years of dedicated and committed service as a member of the Gloucester School Committee. And be it further known that the Massachusetts Senate extends its best wishes for continued success, that this citation be duly signed by the President of the Senate and attested to, and a copy thereof transmitted by the Clerk of the Senate. And this was signed by our Senate President, Karen Spilker, attested to by our Clerk, Michael Hurley, and I am proud to offer it on December 15th of 2021. Last but not least, this is from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to Jonathan Pope. On behalf of the citizens of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I am pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation in recognition of your years of dedicated and committed service to the Gloucester Public Schools in the city of Gloucester on this 15th day of December in the year 2021 by Charles D. Baker, Governor of the Commonwealth, and by Karen E. Polito, Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth. John, I just want to add a final personal comment. I think everyone knows that my brother was very involved in education in the public schools of the city. And there was never a time when we talked that he didn't talk about your stature as a partner and a colleague. And Brian held you in the highest of esteem as someone who had dedicated his entire life to educating kids. And I can't think of a higher commendation than that. And while I wish he was here tonight with us, I know in spirit he is. And I would be remiss if I didn't give voice to his thoughts about Jonathan Pope, what you have done and what you mean to this community.
Thank you.
Safathia, I know that you are here remotely with us, and it is an honor to be able to come and congratulate you and thank you as well. And just moments ago, we saw an example of one of your most distinguishing characteristics as a leader and a member of this body. And that is your compassion and your caring and your personal involvement in the life of the Gloucester Public Schools. And while you're mayor, you have to think about every single thing in the city. Everything lands on your desk. Everything commands your attention. Everything competes for your attention. But it was always the case that you had the time, and you always had an interest, and you always had passion for the Gloucester Public Schools. And while you didn't have to oversee everything, you were one of the city's most passionate advocates for school kids. And I know that you will continue to be, not only in making sure that we have proper buildings. You led the way, again, most recently with the newest city elementary school, but it was more permeating even than a big project. It was about every day. It was about what you just said to Kayla and Camilla. Tell us what you need and we'll find a way to get it done. And it's that attitude that has made you such a committed and dedicated member, an effective member of this school committee. And I know, again, that when you represent the municipal side and you represent the school side, there is a very challenging balance that has to be achieved. But you never, ever lost passion and commitment to the schools in trying to find that balance. And so it is an honor, again, to be able to come and congratulate you. I'm going to mention that the governor has a limit on citations, Safathia, and so we have given you so many from Charlie and Karen that we don't have an additional one tonight because, I'm told that we could break the budget of the Commonwealth if we continue to give you citations. But I do want to read this citation, which again reads, "Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to the Honorable Safathia Romeo Taken, Mayor of the City of Gloucester, in recognition of your years of dedicated and committed service as a member of the Gloucester School Committee. And be it further known that the Massachusetts Senate extends its best wishes for continued success, that this citation be duly signed by the President of the Senate and attested to and a copy thereof transmitted by the Clerk of the Senate. And this is signed by our friend Karen Spilker, attested to by our clerk, Michael D. Hurley, and I'm proud to offer it on December 15th of 2021. And then from our friend and colleague, Representative Ferranti, from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, a citation which reads, "Be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Safathia Romeo Taken in recognition of your years of service to the Gloucester Public Schools and the Gloucester School Committee. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all endeavors. Given this 9th day of December 2021 at the State House, Boston, Massachusetts, by Ronald Mariano, the Speaker of the House, and offered by State Representative and our friend and colleague, Ann Margaret Ferranti." And Safathia, one of the most important aspects of the charter of this city is that the mayor serve as a member of this school committee. It reflects the vision that the folks that put that charter had together, that education had to be central to the operation of the city, and so central that its chief executive would be a member of this board. But you have gone far in excess of just being here by virtue of your title. You have been here always by virtue not only of being mayor, but by virtue of your heart and your mind and everything that you have in your being to stand up for kids each and every day. And so it's an honor to be able to come and congratulate you and thank you as well for your service as a member of this body. And with that, I will do something that's very difficult, and that is relinquish the podium. But I will, in just a moment, distribute these accordingly. And again, I thank you. I thank you for the opportunity to come and to be with all of you, and again to say thank you to all of you and to recognize these colleagues who have meant so much to the Gloucester School Committee.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. The support that comes from your office and the office in my seats as well, it's just been such an incredible impact on our community. Having Gloucester being here, your office being here in the city has been tremendous for our kids. I mean, there's nothing that gets by either one of you. You're involved in all the issues and help us whenever we call upon you. So for that, we're forever grateful. So thank you for joining us tonight and making this even special.
I wanted to, if I may, I wanted to say thank you, but I also wanted to say to Joel, it's been, you know what, it's been really great because you know what, we need someone to keep us on our toes, and I loved it. I loved the, you know, I really did, because we had so many different conversations, all of us, and you know, some of you don't see the things after. You know what, nobody holds a grudge, nobody, you know, where are we going after, what are we going to do, we need to do this, because everyone on the school committee is caring and loving. And Jonathan, I've known you way before, like with Brian. Brian was the principal when I was the first advocate for the Italian community. It was over 25 years ago. And then when I took a job, we started with the schools to make sure healthcare was in the school system. We started the interagency task force. Remember the chins, remember the programs. We went so far back. With Brian and myself, we wanted fairness, and we couldn't understand why the Lyndon B. Johnson was not giving after school programs to West Gloucester because it was a different neighborhood, but yet St. Nancy Private School could get it. We fought those. We fought that you didn't have to have a social security number to enter our schools. We fought the, you know, the cheese lunches. Tony will tell you, we've gone so many things, but I need to say to you, this past year and a half has been the hardest ever. This, you should be very proud, every single one of you on the city, I was going to say city council, on school committee, because I said as a city council, we went through something that in the past no one's gone through. We went through a pandemic. We still have it, but we went through the major pandemic where no one even knew what was going to happen. We went through, should we put them in school or not? We went through finding a new superintendent in the midst of this, you know, trying to build a new school, trying to get the vote. We went through the past year and a half all together through hell and back, and we succeeded. And for those of you who are going to continue, thank you, because it's difficult. Everyone that I've talked to, we went to a mayor's meeting, burnt out. If you read the article in Danvers, they had this little episode, it's a big one, but they're saying they're exhausted. We went through that 1,000 times, Jonathan. All of us 1,000 times prior, now, social media, not social media, everything you can think of under the sun. But this past year was hard on each and every one of us because you had families to go home to. We had Melissa, I'm so proud of you for stepping up. And you know what? Yes, we all have one of those downfalls. My family voted for you because we knew that you were going to continue. We wouldn't let you, because you know what? Everyone has those moments. Everyone has a moment. You went through hell and back. You lost your child, but you cared about all of our children. I thank you for that, because it's difficult. No one understands, and may we never feel what you felt through. And I want to thank you for being strong, standing up and believing. Samantha for bringing the mental health issues forward. You know, Kathy for bringing your expertise and saying, you know what, the child should be this. Laura for saying, you know what, wait a minute, I don't understand this. And that's okay. Because you know what, that's okay, because she was saying, if I don't, then neither do the parents. Explain to us in our level. Like I said, Maria, you've been excellent. Ben, I'm gonna just be a pain in your ass. So there's nothing I'm gonna do. But the fact is no, because the fact is, Ben, yes, I'm gonna be there. I said that before. Max is on here. I said it last night. Greg Bach, thank you for coming back. I mean, we all been through hell and back for many, many years. But you know what? We are survivors. Joel's not really leaving. He's just gonna do what I'm gonna do, and we're gonna both be pains in the asses and tell you what to do. But the fact is, because we care. You still have a whole bunch to do, and you still, and it was great that the city council last night did the modulars, and we're going, and we put together money in for the first time ever. I am so proud of my administration, because we worked together on budgets that were so easy. It wasn't easy, but meaning that we believe in the school system. Jonathan said it was the fast and the best, and we did it, and we'll succeed. Jonathan, I learned a lot from you. You know, I learned a lot from your wife and how to mediate and what to do. And, you know, what do we need for our children? And it was difficult when they change what special needs are and change all these programs and still have to pay for all these funds. And people don't understand you have $600,000 you have to send, and what do you do? And everyone deserves what they deserve. It's not easy. But yeah, you know, you kept saying you retire and you kept coming back, but this time I believe you're not coming back, and that's okay. You deserve to rest. We've had over 20 years. Just because we're on the school committee or the city council or served the city for 20, but we actually been involved for a lot longer. So I want to thank you all, because this has been a year that, 2 years actually, that it's been the most difficult in anyone's life, but we together survived. So thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're gonna continue on with some citations, because we have citations from the Gloucester School Committee to all three of you as well. And we'll start with Joel. And no one on the committee has heard this yet, because this is something that just got done today. But I didn't want anyone to leave here without recognition from the school committee as well. So the Gloucester School Committee, in recognition of your many years of outstanding service to the children of Gloucester, thanks and wishes you all the best in your future. For your commitment to transparency and openness to school operations, and your strong driving force to keep discussions and deliberations engaging and constructive. Your tenure on the school committee has shown to be invaluable. For setting the bar high and for your dedication to the Gloucester Public Schools, we congratulate and wish you many years of good health and happiness, given under the sign and seal of the Gloucester School Committee.
Thank you.
You should add something about being like a grammar smith.
He's gonna call me out around just afterwards.
For all of
So
your
thank you
corrected
so much.
comments.
And then for Jonathan. They kind of sound a little similar, but a little bit different. To Jonathan Pope, the Gloucester School Committee, in recognition for your many years of quiet leadership and tireless contributions to the children of Gloucester, thanks you and wishes you the best in your retirement. Committed to ensuring our students are in a safe and learning environment and recreational facilities as well. I'm supposed to say something like that. Your openness and willingness to bring change through difficult challenges has benefited the residents of Gloucester, most especially those who have had the opportunity to work with you. Your professional advocacy to improve teaching and learning has encouraged our school committee to constantly strive for high student achievement. As one who never hesitates to lend a helping hand, your mark on our community is left with much appreciation. For your dedication to the Gloucester Public Schools, we congratulate you and wish you many years of good health and happiness.
Thank you.
Can I just give you a hug in COVID? Well deserved. And finally, Mayor Safathia from the Gloucester School Committee. The Gloucester School Committee, in recognition of your many years of service to the children, thanks you and wishes you all the best in your retirement. Your extensive community involvement and commitment to Gloucester students has brought success as we've navigated through many local challenges. Your relentless outreach and determination to help all those in need prove that any barrier could be tackled for the good of all good. No matter the circumstance, your compassion and enthusiasm to help those in need has been a bright guiding light, especially during the most challenging times. For your dedication to the Gloucester Public Schools, we congratulate you and wish you many years of good health and happiness. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you. I can open the floor if anyone thinks there's more to say.
I'd like to say. I will start with Safathia. It has been such a pleasure to work, as you say, as a team. I think of you in every true sense of the word cheerleader for our kids. You're not only there present, but you are truly there in spirit and in genuine interest, and you connect with the children. You know more about what goes on in our schools because you get invited to everything than many of us. And we're happy to see you, with our kids. I've been on the committee for a long time, and I will say, since you've become mayor, we have made so many more strides than the previous years. Due to good policy on the fiscal side, we have been able to address so many things that were just so needed for way too long. And we have, a new school coming. We have safety upgrade, we have so many things that people don't necessarily know why they're important as much, but we certainly know why all this safety and good facilities are and how they advance education. And through your administration and great teamwork, we've been able to accomplish a ton. I will miss your big heart on our committee, but we'll definitely see you around town, for sure. And Joel, you have been, you know, a definitely different kind of member, which has brought, in a good way, which has brought so many good discussions. I love that you open our eyes to some of the real nuances of language and risk that we need to keep our schools out of. So your lawyer background has definitely been a tremendous asset. And I like that you challenge us in many ways on many discussions to think through things and come up to the best solution, which is why I think there's such a strength in a committee, because everybody comes from their own place and their background, and every voice really kind of makes that conversation get to the better place. So it's been a pleasure to work with you, and of course, obviously, we'll be seeing you as a parent and as a friend in the community.
Thank you.
And Jonathan, I have appreciated your steady, very professional and calm leadership. It's a pleasure to work with you and have you lead our committee. You know, everybody's talked about the countless ways in which you're involved in the city, but you know, having a wife that's a teacher who also has been really quite unselfish in giving us so much of your time, and I'm glad she will have more of your time going forward. But we appreciate her. Please thank her for us. And you spent so much time on school stuff and community things, and I know it won't end, but we will miss you in this role.
Thank you.
So,
Laura?
so I want to say to start to all three of you, to Joel, to Jonathan, to Safathia, how grateful I've been to be welcomed onto this committee and to be taught by all three of you in really different ways how to be an effective and productive member of this committee. Joel, I have appreciated every sharp look you've given to everything. And I think that the way that you've brought us to look at things differently is invaluable. And I will miss that very much on this committee. Mayor, I have so appreciated all the ways, I mean, your big heart is, you know, legendary, of course, but the ways that, you know, you've just been patient and inclusive in, especially during these, my only service has been during COVID. And as we were struggling through this, how sort of inclusive and sort of how well the team worked. I guess that's what I would say. The team of all of us together getting this done is something I don't see everywhere. And I have been really grateful for that. And Jonathan, I think that is in large part due to your leadership and your tutelage, as you have taught me. And I think I can speak for all of us in sort of steering this team through this incredibly difficult 2 years with sort of calm and professionalism, as Kathy said, and just dignity, so much dignity. So I just really want to express gratitude to all three of you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Similarly, I'd like to first thank all of you sort of together, because as a newer member of this committee, this was a trying first 2 years. And I'm not really sure where I would be if the three of you were not part of this committee. It was really helpful to have each one of you who have very different approaches and personalities to help guide us through these 2 years. Joel, thank you for recruiting me. I wish you were staying. You have been such an encouragement for me and a good mentor over these last 2 years. And I wish we could work together for longer, but I'm sure this won't be the end of our conversations. And I really appreciate your attention to detail and your ability to push us into places that are sometimes uncomfortable, but they're necessary. So I appreciate that. Jonathan, I was thinking about this, the first time I met you was as a student advisory member.
Wow, that wasn't nice at all.
I'm sorry, but I have a very interesting perspective here because I get to thank you as a student, because you were on the school committee when I was a student, and also as a colleague. And that's a big deal, right? Like, you have provided me and Joel, you know, with the support and the education that, you know, we needed to get here, and through your leadership. And I think that that's a really, really big deal. And it's really important for me to recognize that I get to thank you both as a Gloucester student graduate and as a colleague. And I will miss you greatly. And Safathia, you really truly are a fairy godmother, because you're everywhere, and I don't know how you do it. I see you all over the place, and it's that in itself is so incredibly important, and certainly a lesson that we should all sort of take forward, because the more that we're seen in the community, the more approachable we are. And I think that is something that I'm going to take away from you and learn from you, because your passion and your ability to be there for people to approach in every aspect of our community is just incredibly important. So thank you for doing that. I'll miss you.
Samantha, while you do it, I'll watch the kids.
Sure. Deal.
That's a deal.
So I'm just gonna add a couple more words, and I'm gonna start with Safathia. Safathia, many, many years ago, approximately 14 years ago, I sat at one of my first city council meetings and watched you. And during that meeting is when I first, because I've heard it many times, but first heard you say that your love was for seniors, safety, and schools. And that has been part of my being, hearing you say that for many years, not only because I feel those three issues are extremely important and should come first, but it made me look into myself and say, okay, what is it that I care about the most? You seem so focused on what your first priorities were that it made me think to do the same. And it helped me engage and become a better public servant from hearing you say that. So from day one, you had me at hello. We've had a long relationship, not always great, but our friendship stuck through and we made it through. And I can't thank you enough for being there, not only as a colleague and a mayor and a city council member, but also as a friend. As you mentioned, during the loss of my son, I can honestly say with every being of my heart that you got me through my darkness with your phone calls every day, if not twice a day. So for that, I'm forever grateful. But as a mayor and as a city council member, what you have done for the school system in your years is tremendous. Your compassion for kids, your desire to help, even when you're exhausted, you don't stop. It's amazing what outcome comes when you enter a room when you're on a mission. You always succeed. And for that, I'm forever grateful, because like I said, the Gloucester schools are a much better place, and our community is a much better place for your heart and for your direction and for all that you've done for us. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Joel, when I thought I was leaving about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, I got a text from you and it hit me hard. And I responded to you and I said, I'm gonna miss you the most. And I meant that when I said that. I didn't think I was coming back, but I meant it, because what I really appreciate about you is how you challenge me. You know, I feel like sometimes people can't get the best of me, but you have a way of making me rethink what I think I know and examine what I'm saying and moving forward in a direction that's more open instead of closed-minded the way I can be a lot. And for that, I thank you, because not too many people can challenge me that way, but you do. And at first, I'm sure you realize it irritated me, But I
I
learned.
picked up on
Go
that.
back. But I've learned to appreciate it, and I'm really going to miss that. You know, I don't want everyone agreeing with me. I don't want, you know, I like that challenge. And I appreciate your perspective and your knowledge, because you have a lot of knowledge, and I consider you very intelligent. So I am going to really miss what you bring to this committee. I've never met in 14 years on sitting on 2 school committees, anyone like you. And I'm glad that I've had this opportunity to experience you. So if I ever give you an eye, know that it's out of love and caring and not anything else. So thank you for what you brought to this committee for me, because it's made me a better person in my thinking skills. And Jonathan, I don't even know where to begin with you, because I just care about you and your wife so much. There's not many people that I feel like really have influenced my life, but you are one of less than a handful that have. I have so much respect for you, not only in your leadership skills, but just in the way that you guide us as a group or us as individuals when we confront controversy or challenges. You are so slow and steady, and you know me, I'm so compulsive and 10 feet ahead of you, that I love how you just draw me back and ground me and make me move forward and with a better sense of direction. And I can't thank you enough for that. And I don't know how I'm going to get through the next couple of years without having that. I might need you to call me up every now and then when you see me getting a little bit off course like you usually do. So for that, and for many other reasons, as Kathy brought up, Susan and you are such a dynamic team for education in the city. We are such a better community because of both of you. And I really, really appreciate your leadership and all that you have done for this committee and more. And I know haven't seen the end of you yet, but we're going to enjoy hearing about your vacations with your families. So thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Great, all right. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Senator Carr, for being here. So a few things. I'll start with Safatia, Mayor Taken. The first time I really had interaction with Safatia, she didn't know this was happening, but I was listening in on the debate when I was going to be voted upon, my folks going to be voted on, and things seemed to be going pretty well. And then the mayor spoke up. And what I remember of it anyway was her saying something along the lines of, there's no reason we should be hiring a superintendent right now. And this was a bad idea. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really bad news. But then, true to form, she then surprised me with a positive vote. But that it not only gave me pause or concern, but it was the sign of that she's open. She wears her heart on her sleeve, and she also makes great decisions. And not that was a great decision necessarily, it's up to you folks to decide, but she'll tell it like it is. And I so appreciate that about you, Safatia, telling it like it is. You are a true original, which is a wonderful thing to be. I so have appreciated your heart and your care and concern, and that also that you are absolutely unyielding in going for the right things. And I credit you so much for when one of the first times I really saw you in action in a major way was when we had our first spike last October in the restaurants and in the Brazilian community, and you went right at it and hit it head on and were outreaching to as many people as you could so they would make the right decision and help themselves be safe, and their families and their children and our businesses. And that turned things around, and we kept on seeing your leadership last year. And I was a beneficiary of that. I think we all were. And so it just was such an example of you knowing what's right, going for it, and supporting families and children and seniors. So I just appreciate it so much. You keep threatening to be a pain to me, and you're welcome to be that pain. And I hope you keep supporting us, and thank you for all your support of schools. Joel, I am really appreciative of your of your work on the committee. I so appreciated you pushing us to take a hard look at what we do and why we do it. I see you as someone who, and this is really valuable on a school committee, a school board, is that you don't want us to keep doing the things we've been doing just because we've been doing them that way. And there's too much of that in education. And so I've always appreciate your push. I see you as someone who expects greatness from us and our schools. And that's been a tremendous push. And then also that you demand integrity, and that we follow up on what we say we're going to do. I feel like you've seen too much of that not happening in public service. And I feel like that you are someone who leads that way, wants other people to lead that way. So I really appreciate all that, those different types of leadership from you. I wish you the best with your family and having more time with them, and your practice as well, and with veterans. You'll stay involved in there as more and more of your kids go there. I expect you to continue to be a strong supporter and big push for our schools. So thank you so much. Mr. Pope. What many folks don't know is, well, you know that we meet regularly, meet every week, 11 o'clock on Tuesdays. What you don't know is that a lot of those meetings is Jonathan sharing stories and about himself, but really about Gloucester. And I've learned, of all the work we've done together, Jonathan, I don't think I've told you this, what I most appreciate is learning from you about this great city. And you have such a wealth of knowledge, such deep knowledge about not only the schools, but the history, the industry, the families, the neighborhoods, and the schools. And that has given me a great glimpse into what this place is, what this great place is. And I'm gonna miss that the most, honestly. I also, of course, appreciate your guidance, your support, your cool head, and always whenever I had to call you, tell you that something else was not going quite well last year, you always were, I wouldn't say matter of fact, but just level, as Melissa said, level-headed, cool, calm, collected, and always with good guidance. So, but I will miss most learning from you and hearing stories of the city and your life. Whether it was about you and ROTC not going so well in high school, but also being banned, but then getting into education and the reasons why you did, and then continuing on the school committee, because for you, it always was about kids having an even better shot than you had. So thank you so much for your friendship. I'm wishing you more time on your boat, more time on your shop in Maine, and of course the suit as well. And thank you all so much.
Does anyone want to say anything?
I'd just like to thank everybody. I appreciate it. You know, it makes me reminisce of the last, well, 24 years, really. I was, first of all, I served last century.
Wow.
I think of in those terms. Yeah. And I just appreciate it. This committee has been one of the best I've ever been on. And it's been productive, and to work with you all through the COVID issues is just, I mean, those meetings that ran to midnight and 2 o'clock in the morning, and trying to decide, you know, when we didn't really know, you know, trying to guess, trying to just read the tea leaves to make sure but everybody's intention was good. And everybody was willing to put in the time to get it right. And I like I say, I've been on a lot of school committees. Some of them have had done some big things, but nobody's done what we did last 2 years. Thank you.
I will thank everyone for the kind words tonight. I'll wish the chair and the mayor the best of luck. And my gift to the committee will be, for the first time in 6 years, I will not be the reason the conversation continued on longer than it needed to.
Thank you. With that being said, I'm handing back the gavel to you, and we can continue on our meeting.
All
Thank you all.
right.
Before I depart, I just want to hand
Okay.
these to you guys.
Thanks.
Who's I can take those.
These will be special delivery for the mayor.
Okay. Do you want to add this one if you're gonna bring it?
Sure. Thank you all.
Happy
holidays,
everyone.
Thank you.
Shall we continue on with the meeting? We have some things that we gotta get done tonight.
Sure.
The student advisory council.
I don't see them. Are they here? Linda is the GHS representative.
She's,
She's the what?
she's not a student person.
She's the GHS student.
No, she, really.
Yep.
Oh, Linda. We'll now have a report from the Gloucester High School Student Advisory Council, and I believe we have Romeo.
Linda Romo, yeah.
If you're still here, you should get overtime pay for tonight. You're not, we have-
Linda, are you there? If you're there, Linda, we're ready for the GHS student report.
Maybe not, maybe not.
Well, if she comes back, we can jump back to that. That being said, let's move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that anybody would like to remove for further discussion?
Move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second,
Okay, Maria, can we have a roll call vote?
Ms. Prince.
Yes.
Mayor Taken.
Yes.
Ms. Watson.
Yes.
Ms. Reason. Yes. Kathy Clancy.
Yes.
Mr. Cabaza.
Yes.
And Chairman Poe.
Yes, passes unanimously. We'll move on to our deliberations on educational issues, and I will turn it over to Superintendent Thomas.
Great, so we're gonna I'll have to go over a quick report on a few things and then lead right into Max Shank.
I am here.
Oh,
Oh,
Linda,
good. Linda.
Linda,
All right, perfect.
We're sorry.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, good
Good so
evening.
long. So we're ready for the report from the Student Advisory Council.
can you hear us?
I don't know. Can you hear us?
Linda, give us a thumbs up if you can hear us, because we can't hear you,
She's muted.
or you're muted.
I don't think she can hear us.
Yeah. Can other people hear us? Savathia?
Should be.
Savathia, can you hear us?
We're gonna be yellow box.
I can't hear her.
No, we
hear
can't
us?
No, we can't
I
hear
can hear
her.
you.
Okay. Linda, you can't hear us?
Poor Linda waited that whole time.
Yeah. She heard us briefly.
She did hear us briefly.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear us?
Go ahead.
It's okay.
You can go.
Yes, so good evening, everyone. My name is Linda Toro. I am this, oh, yeah.
Oh, she's on a delay.
Delay,
A big
yeah.
delay. Oh, it's a really big delay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
We're getting an echo.
Is there a way to send a message to her?
I've never seen the light that long.
No, either. Can we send a message to her? Is there a way to do that?
Maybe in the-
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, she can. Thumbs up.
But she's on a very big delay.
This happened when I was in my.
Gotta get a phone. Awesome.
There's no way to give, like, send her. a
Yeah,
message.
yes.
Going.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I'm all set.
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead.
You can go.
So, some things that happened for the yearbook sale, was recently there was a Jalapenos fundraiser on Sunday for yearbook sales, and they're going well. Yesterday there was a hockey, sorry.
Yes.
She on twice.
No.
I'll fix that.
So I'm going.
Linda, can you just shut off your camera and see if it's better?
Disconnect and call back in and we'll get to her.
Yeah, I think that what's happening is she's on both of them. That's why they echo the phone
It's
to use for
awkward.
voice. So,
Put up a note, she's not hearing us.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
We can hear you, but we're getting an
So-
echo.
Yeah, just let her know.
Tonight, there was a. Hold on.
See, she's on there twice. Can you take her offline,
She just
Maria?
needs to mute one.
Okay, yeah, so,
There we go.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you see me traveling through time? Do you see old you?
that's much better.
Like
Is
you
this
from
much
5
better?
minutes ago are still on the meeting.
That's so funny.
Oh, boy.
Okay,
Exactly.
can you guys
That's
hear
it.
me?
Still on there twice.
Perfect. Keep going. Go. You nailed it.
So, last night there was a basketball game and that went well. And tonight there's a hockey game at Salem State. So I hope the boys are doing well. And we also had some JHS students who went to Disney World and they just came back, which is amazing. Over the weekend, we also had some honor students in the theater classes who submitted entries to the Massachusetts Educational Theater Guild Contest Day. And some students participated virtually while others went to Norwood High School to present in person. Each contest asked the students to use their skills in various aspects of theater to prepare work to be local theoretical professionals. And like the Drama Fest, which is a theater program students have attended for the past few years, these contests are an amazing opportunity for students to get feedback from working with professionals, allowing them to grow as performers and technicians. We had students like Nate Oakes, who submitted 2 contrasting monologues for Dog and Gull's Memorial Monologue Scholarship. And to excellence in the technical theater contest, Emily Correa submitted a set design for Mamma Mia. Shannon Connolly submitted costume designs for the Addams Family musical. Alexia Burby submitted a costume design for the Into the Woods. And Michael Merchant submitted a lighting design for the Shuttersome, A Telltale Heart. Malia Andrews also submitted a costume design for Clue, and Malia's design was chosen as one of the top 7 entries in high school excellence in technical theater contest. She will be participating in a feedback session with the judges this Tuesday, December 14th, which was yesterday, and the winners will be announced on December 22nd. More on what has happened earlier this week. For the first time in 3 years, cadets went to Reading, Pennsylvania for a rifle meet. Despite not bringing home the gold, Gloucester shooters packed a punch, bringing home 2nd place overall, as well as 2 individual shooter medals. The team was paced by team captain Zayla Dort's personal record of 257, taking 1st place individual veteran shooter medal. Cadet Caleb Grace shooting 221 points, took 3rd place individual veteran shooter medal. The team looks forward to improving and competing at our next rifle meet competition held at our territory, Gloucester High School, on January 14th, and congratulations to all teams and shooters present. Overall, all cadets present and had an incredible time and cannot wait to compete again. So some ongoing things, we have a food drive and we've been collecting for the holiday drive. Cereal is the most requested item at this time, so Student Council and NHS will be bringing a box each. The baseball boys have helped big time with Coach Rory Gentile helping collect over 701 pounds of food. The cross-country team has also helped by collecting. Our goal is to help collect 1,000 pounds, and we're still collecting until then. There's a DECA competition. The students are taking a DECA test tomorrow. They also sold wreaths for a fundraiser. NHS tutoring. So many students are taking advantage of this situation, and we're also able to do this remotely. There's also a play underway, which is Footloose. And I'm not sure if many of you are familiar with him, but Nate is at rehearsals right now. On Monday, there will be a party for ELL families with some gifts and gift baskets. On homeroom tomorrow, I believe, Miss Goulart will be passing around metal water bottles because she raised enough money for each student to receive one. We will also be having a door decorating contest, which helps bring some holiday cheer. And on the 23rd, we'll be having an ugly sweater day. And something that's upcoming this Friday, December 17th, which I hope you all attend, will be a holiday concert presented by the GHS Docksiders and the Chorus. Admissions will be free for students K through 8. We also went to Beeman last week on Wednesday, and it was a fun experience. And I, along with many of the people in the program, are looking forward to do this again. Some news from the GHS Health Center: the free food locker continues to supply food and snacks to the GHS students and their families. The transition programs students and their paraprofessional receive the food deliveries weekly from the open door and the stacked shelves of free food locker to help students to shop for food to take home. Volunteers from the National Honor Society help fulfill online food orders and stack bags of groceries into their cars for deliveries. There have been 30 families that access free food locker groceries either by taking it at home or home delivery. There have been over 100 students accessing fruit snacks. From the GHS Youth Advisory Council, member Kaya Corvallis created a bulletin board on the importance of teen depression, which she presented earlier, which is awesome, amazing. Sharing the importance of mental health with their GHS peers. Another member, Yashri Patel, created a bulletin board around for the positive physical and mental health benefits of gardening, including news about the GHS Garden and the GHS Garden Club. And finally, another member, Camilla Wilkins Bowen, created a racial equity bulletin board captioned "Words Have Power." There are 19 individual photos with each a message from the famous person of color. Her project demonstrates the racial equity work that has been accomplished and work that has yet to be done. It is a beautiful board. If you have the opportunity to, please take a look at it. And I honestly love it. And when you walk down the language hallway, it is right across from the health center. And finally, the GHS Youth Advisory Council is in process of a teacher appreciation project, and more details is to come in January. Thank you for sitting with me patiently.
Thank you, Linda, for your patience tonight, and also thanks for the great report. Can you just, the winter concert, when is that again at the high school?
It is going to be here, sorry, not here, but where you guys are, in the auditorium, December 17th, this Friday at 7 p.m. Tickets will be $5. Be prepared for all the fun, all the music. It's going to be awesome. And we're all so excited to finally present to you after 2 years of not being able to.
You said children K through 8 can come for free, right?
Yep.
It's a great way to spend a Friday night. You know, not break the bank. That's excellent. You may see me in small collection of children.
It's something sweet for the kids, you know.
Any other questions?
Just many thanks.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
I
thank
know,
you.
it was great. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Sorry for the delay earlier.
Thanks for getting through it.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.
you.
Good night.
She problem solved better than any of us would have.
That's true.
Right, you can tell this is not the first time, right? The kids been in class and Zoom, you know, like, okay, computer's bugging out, I'll get the phone out.
All right.
All right.
Moving on, moving back actually to Superintendent Robinson, Superintendent.
So I'm going to share with you my screen. I'm going to go through a few things quickly, and then we'll get to Max Schenk, who is with. That's what I was going to do. We'll do this. So first, some good news, as not only the high school's having a winter concert, but our elementary schools are. Here is Monday outside, so they're doing them outside. For the most part, East Gloucester is doing theirs in the auditorium, but limiting some of the number of families who can come. Because we're just still trying to make sure we're doing some good distancing and COVID stuff. But they're having outdoors. This is veterans. So Jessica Nelson, you can see her music teacher. It was the K kids sang a few songs from different cultural backgrounds. One and then two, and they all sang. I think "Let It Snow." I think it was to finish all together. And as you can see, great turnout from parents. Mr. Vaz was there. And it was just a really wonderful, joyous occasion, and that's happening at all our elementary schools this week and next. Some more good news, that's right, which is we are doing a district and school website revamp, which will go into action or go live sometime in January, we believe. It's sort of a temporary step to a longer solution, but it's going to be a vast improvement over what we have right now. Much easier navigation, less complicated, and we'll have sort of and a little more colorful and with more photos and stuff like that as well. So, but it won't be we are ultimately we'll do we're going to be using Google Sites, which is a good system, but a great system, but it allows us to update them more easily as we go forward. So more good news on facilities. So last night, the city council supported the funding for the Beam and Plum Cove modular repair and also exterior painting. And we continue to move forward with the process for installing new playgrounds at Beam and Plum Cove. The schools are now doing getting some more additional input. Beam is getting additional input. Plum Cove has started a process working with their PTO families and also students to get input as they create their design. So, but those all moving forward, great process, great progress. And then finalizing labor contracts. So here are 6 so we've been doing, as you all know, we've been doing a lot of work with our labor partners and working through contracts. So this year, in the last 6 months we've resolved and come to agreement. Some of these are tentative agreement pending ratification with food service workers, our education support professionals, our bus monitors, our administrative staff at the central office, or school secretaries, and just this week, and they're both pending ratification, or with our school secretaries and the Gloucester Teachers Association. Something that has been a real priority of the committee has been making sure our lower paid workers have significant raises, and we've been able to do that for a number of these, increasing starting salaries as well. And just really pleased that we've been able to work with our labor partners in a fairly methodical, process to get these resolved, and then allow us to have that security and that sort of just consistency for the next 2 or 3 years in all these. So this is, as we all know, a lot of work, but it's been just good news to work with our partners and get these done. So I want to move on to our COVID update. So ignore this. Ignore the totals. Look at the bottom here. Our total cases are 49 right now for our schools. That's up 36 2 weeks ago. It's been up and down since then, meaning higher, a little bit higher, a little bit lower. What you can see on the right hand here is that we're already quite a bit far past what we did all of last year. Okay, it's not with staff, it's with students, and what the big difference this year is elementary school students. Many more cases in those. You can see right now the highest in the district right now are Beaman and West Parish. And so that's challenging. You also see that Gloucester High School is a lot lower than it was a couple weeks ago. I'll show you some data in a little bit, which will sort of put a point on how things are going up and down. What we're always doing is looking at when something goes up in a school, say Beaman or West Parish recently, are there connections there? What's happening there? Is it within a grade, within a classroom? That might be at, like we saw earlier in this year, Gloucester High, a lot of seniors. Right now, we have them challenging at the 4th grade at Beaman is challenging. We contacted parents today. We're testing many kids in the 4th grade. These are good examples of things that we believe are happening outside of school that are affecting schools. That could be a sports league, not a school sports league, although we see some of that. That might be outside sports league. That may be a sleepover. That may be a birthday party. But the real challenge is from those numbers. And here you see the numbers, and Max Schenk will be here in a moment, is here, and he'll talk about our city cases in a bit. But those are also going up. You can see 115 active cases now. I think we were even higher a while ago. He'll explain that. But it does speak to the need for folks to be vigilant and not really mask indoors as much as possible, and eliminate parties, eliminate any gatherings as much as you can, and not do things that are unnecessary in a sense. That's a real balance these days, but certainly vaccinations and testing are the way to go, and they're important and essential. And that's probably the biggest thing we can do as a city at this point is support, push, advertise, publicize vaccinations and boosters for those who are eligible.
So I don't know if this is a district-wide policy or suggestion or proposed school by school, but at least at the elementary school level, when you have a birthday party and you may not invite anybody in your class unless you're gonna invite the entire class. Right?
I don't.
So
Is that a policy?
They can't put out an invitation. You have to invite everyone if you're gonna give out invitations at school.
but you can't just like pick two kids in your class and give out an invitation to class. So this is still happening quite a bit, where in the schools they're distributing an entire class worth of invitations for indoor birthday parties. And so I guess I'm curious how we should address that, how teachers should address that. I mean, I'm getting text messages from parents with like pictures of invitations going out to entire classrooms. And I don't know, how teachers feel about that, right? Because it's certainly impacting entire classrooms. We know that it is. So just in terms of the policy or how we want to approach it, I think it needs to be addressed.
Let me be clear on this. There's not a school committee policy on this, is there?
I don't think it's
We can't control.
I don't think it's
Family birthday
No,
parties.
No.
but that, there's.
They're distributing within class.
But there's been a practice around folks wanting to invite a whole school or doing that as a regular thing, right?
Yeah.
And so your concern now is that using the school or within the schools, they're passing around invites for a whole entire class.
Yes.
Yeah.
While we're also actively trying to discourage that. Like in most of our communication, we're saying, please don't have, indoor birthday parties with large groups of children.
So, okay, I understand the concern now.
Yeah.
It's just say don't distribute in class, period.
I mean,
Have you do whatever you gotta do, just like, don't distribute in class, there, that way you don't have to deal with. It's kind of Valentine's, right? Like, you're coming up for Valentine's Day, everyone gets a Valentine, right? They're gonna pick and choose. And so you just say instead, just like, if your birthday, and it's 2021, right? I imagine not every parent knows their own contact information. It's probably a little bit easier now than it was, a decade or two ago to get in touch with.
I also think like it puts a teacher at a very particularly awkward position because, kindergartners aren't gonna necessarily pass out invitations to every single kid. So I'm assuming teachers are involved on some level. I don't know.
I don't know if that's the case, but I do know that in order to put something in everybody's backpack, they have to do it for everybody.
Right. So anyhow, I think it's worth the discussion.
So just Greg and I were conferring and think we can talk to our principals about that and then really tell them, that we should not distribute in that way.
Yeah.
Of course, people can invite who they want to a party.
Yes, we're not,
We
certainly
will
not discouraging.
continue to, as our principals have been, and just even today, this afternoon at Beaman, remind parents, ask them not to do this. But I think it makes sense at this point not to distribute those in that way.
Yeah.
Because that, then as you said, it's consistent with our message about not having these parties.
Yeah.
I would say, parties are one thing, large parties, unmasked, inside,
Yeah.
for adults or kids is not smart now.
Right.
And I should actually hand this over to Max. Max is more, can speak for this more than I can. Let me just finish this a little bit
Sure.
here and then we'll have Max in because I think Max will build on some of this, which is the challenge we're having now, and I said this 2 weeks ago, and this is similar. We have gotten more assistance on the difficulty now that the schools, and I think Max will also talk with the city, is on contact tracing. So we did very well last year. We have hired now a contact tracer that was working with the Department of Health. We are training three contact tracers tomorrow afternoon to help us, but our nurses can't keep up. It's overwhelming them. We have gotten more state assistance from the National Guard. Six members of the National Guard are now helping with testing. But the contact tracing is, and all the communication that goes with that is very difficult now, both inside and outside of school. Let me pause there and invite Max to join us so he can tell us what things are happening with the city and any updates from the Department of Health. Hi, Max.
Hey there, folks. How are you? And
Good, thanks.
before we get into the bad news, I first want to take a moment to add my voice to the chorus of gratitude that's been going around for everybody that's done service, not only with this board, committee, and commission, and also the mayor, for everything that you do. You know, they say public service is a calling, and let's face it, it is a calling that sometimes you want to put on hold, but you still answer the call, and you have done yeoman's work to keep this city vibrant, educated, and healthy. And it's our gratitude from the Gloucester Health Department to all the work that you've done. Now, having said that, moving forward, yeah, as Ben had said, the news is a little bit grim, and here's where we're at as of today. So from 12:13 to just noontime today, so this isn't even the full day's report, we have 81 new cases. We have 144 active cases. We have 4 cases in the hospital. And we have 1 person who sadly passed away, bringing that number up to 4 over the last month. Our percent of positivity rate right now, according to the state, is 9.91. And that's the period of time between 11/21 and 12/4. And that's 3,218 tests. The state average by way of average is 4.46%. Now, just to give people an idea, I know that you want to know, and please keep in mind that the numbers I'm about to give you are just a snapshot from that 12/13 to 12/15 timeframe. We have from 0 to 10-year-old, 15 cases. We have new cases, 11 to 20 is less than 5. I have to say that if it is less than 5, I can't just narrow it down beyond that. It goes up from there to 6 to 16 to 14, 17 in different age ranges. By way of comparison, in this time, and Ben pulled this up, but just the 3-day average as of, well, excuse me, not 3-day average, but the 3-day totals, and September 9th of 2021, you're looking 0 to 10, 1 case, 11 to 20, 1 case, 21 to 30, 1 case, 3, incredibly low. This time last year, when there was a full-on mask mandate in all public buildings, you had 115 active cases, you had 5 people in the hospital, and I'm not sure about deaths. This is one of the few reports I was actually able to find looking back in records around this time frame. So yes, it's grim. And I think the committee, and I don't envy you your task, the committee has a responsibility to the health and welfare of your students and your staff, but you also have a responsibility to their mental health, and that keeping them in school, keeping them engaged, keeping them socialized is a huge part of that, and keeping life as normal as humanly possible is part of that. Ben can probably catch me on some of this, but talking with our nurses, it seems the majority of cases are outside of classroom. They're not, people catching COVID in the classroom. There are some breakthrough cases that way, but there were some breakthrough cases like that before. Folks may have been hearing about the Omicron variant. There's not a lot of information on it right now, other than the fact that it spreads very quickly. That anecdotal evidence thus far is that the presentations of the virus, that particular brand of the virus, are not as serious as the Delta variant, and the Delta variant currently is still the more predominant version. So, I wish I had better news to give all of you, but I'm happy to answer whatever questions I can. And for whatever questions I can't, I'll get back to you. Laura, you're muted. Oh, sorry.
Good. Laura, go ahead. And then Joel, and then Melissa.
No, I don't have that.
Oh,
Thank you, Max.
Don't unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry, thank you, Max. A couple of things. I watched your Board of Health meeting last night. And one thing that I think speaks to the messaging, both from us and from the city, is given how high the numbers are and how quickly they're increasing, how, from both the districts at the school side and the city side, how do we get this message? It feels like the message isn't getting across, at least to our school families and maybe to the people in the city, of what's happening, how quickly this is escalating. And I think, of course, we had a lot of things in place last year from a state, the state mask mandates, and there were things that were telling people, oh, this is serious. Right now, we both want to keep things as normal as possible, and people are getting sick. So I'm just wondering, both from a district perspective and from your perspective for the city, how can we communicate to the city that we have almost a 10% positivity rate in the city today? And this is a sort of a question for all of us, because I've been getting these birthday party invitations. I know, at least in my kids' school classrooms, 11 kids were out for a week. So I know that this has been going on, but it doesn't feel like there is a sense of urgency around the city around it. And I'm just wondering how we can, if you have any ideas about how we get that sense of urgency to start happening, and especially if we don't have a mask mandate, which I know was not voted for last night.
You've hit the nail on the head, and it's a question that came up at the meeting last night. And as a matter of fact, I had a conversation with one of the Gloucester Daily Times reporters. We've been providing weekly COVID updates to the Gloucester Daily Times and to other committees, the city council, the school committee, through Ben's office, et cetera. And, it needs to come down from, there's only so much we can do as a department, and it needs to be a load that's carried by many hands. And so I think is the problem that we're all facing, and we're feeling it ourselves, burnout. People are tired of it. People got a little bit relaxed over the summertime. They had an opportunity to breathe again. They thought things were safe again. And then here it comes again, and Delta changed everything. And we're having to go back to where we were before, and people just don't want to do it. If there's the holidays, we don't want to not see our family again for another year. But the fact of the matter is, it's still a threat, it's still dangerous. And the board's position, at least last night, was that the department's focus should be on messaging as best we can and providing more vaccine clinics. So that's our focus moving forward. We'll have better communication with the Gloucester Daily Times, and we also, through the mayor's office, have been working with their public relations firm to work on messaging to get out. There were some suggestions for the board members last night that we'll be looking into. And, even just the signboard and the rotary that you see from the DPW, let people know, stay alert, stay safe, and, numbers are high. Please, care about yourself and your family and your friends, those kinds of things. I'm hopeful, but I think the best thing that we can do as a health department is focus on getting more vaccinations. We received a report recently from some of the folks in our area, and in terms of vaccination rates for children between the ages of 5 and 11, and Gloucester was near to the bottom at that time. We're at 38% now for ages 5 to 11 for first dose. We're looking to improve that. We do have a pediatric clinic coming up at the high school on Saturday. And so we'll keep on, there you go. Thank you very much. Saves me from having to figure out how to do it. So the more we can get this out, there are 150 doses available. So there'll be plenty of vaccine. The last I heard is that there are only 15 people signed up. However, There are walk-ins are allowed, so we'll see what happens at that point. Hopefully more people will show than have actually registered, and the folks there will help people get signed in. This is a partnership with the State Department of Public Health, and we're thankful and grateful for their assistance in this effort. We had a vaccine clinic ourselves at the Rose Baker Senior Center on Monday. We vaccinated 160 people with mostly boosters and about 44, 45 flu vaccines. And because that's the other thing, we're still trying to get flu vaccinations done. And keep in mind, I know Ben and everybody talks about how, you know, their staff is burned out and they don't have enough staff to do the work that they're doing. I've got two people who were supposed to be part-time public health nurses who we were able to cobble together funding to make full-time each. And even then, to meet these needs in terms of contact tracing, it's beyond a full-time job. And like Ben and your folks, we're trying to bring more people on board part-time, but again, funding revenue streams are difficult. I know the mayor has spoken of the CARES Act funding that's available. That funding, unfortunately, for these particular tasks ends December 31st. So we are looking at other funding resources to get that done. In terms of contact tracing, one of the things that's changed a little bit with the state, and it's just in alignment with current realities, people remember back in the old days when we did contact tracing, that's what it was. You had the active case, and then you would interview them and find out who their potential close contacts were, get their contact information, talk with them, determine whether or not they were actually a close contact and whether or not they needed to quarantine until shown to be or tested to be free of the virus. That's no longer needs to be the. Sorry.
Joel has a question.
Sorry, yeah. So I had a question, kind of to go back to the stats you were showing. My question is, is it fair when we're looking at this year's numbers versus last year's numbers? Are we truly comparing apples to apples? And I'm happy to be corrected. My layman's understanding is that for the unvaccinated population, the mortality around COVID remains the same. So a very deadly, very dangerous virus that can really hurt or potentially kill an unvaccinated person. But it's also my understanding that a lot of these cases that are contributing to these numbers are breakthrough cases. And that Delta was fairly good at breaking through, and that this new variant is getting really good at breaking through. However, the case of COVID that the fully vaxxed or fully vaxxed and boosted person has does not have the severity. And so if we had this many people with COVID last year when nobody was vaccinated, it would be it would have been a different health crisis than having this many people, of which potentially a large portion are vaccinated or vaccinated and boosted. So are we actually comparing apples to apples when we look at how many cases we have in December of 21 versus how many cases we have back in December of 20, as far as how dangerous it is to our community?
So I think it's more of not apples to apples, but Macintoshes to Granny Smiths. So the reality is, at least if I'm going to look at it strictly from a public health side of things, you are correct in that those who are fully vaccinated, and those are folks who are 2 weeks after their second vaccination and not necessarily their booster, have a less likely chance of winding up in the hospital unless they have some severe comorbidities and that sort of thing, than would somebody who isn't vaccinated. That's why our focus and the board's focus from moving forward is going to be to try and provide more vaccine opportunities. However, what happens in the public health department when a case comes up, so these active cases, each of these active cases, regardless of severity, wind up on our shores as needing to be contacted, needing to be instructed on how to isolate, and needing to be instructed on how to come out of isolation. So just to finish my other thought, so when we talk about those folks who are considered active cases, forgive me, I've lost my train of thought already, so I'll skip that and move on. Although I want to agree with you in terms of, yes, the importance of vaccination. We do have that tool. We should utilize it to the best of our capacity, especially for school-age children from 5 to 11, now that it's available to them. And that's just one more, basically one more tool in your toolbox to keep kids and citizens safe. So, but for me, risk is risk, and being sick is being sick. So, as much as I want to say, oh yes, things are reduced and it's much better than it ever was, not from our perspective.
Listen,
It seems like we're moving into a little bit of a transition in the way that we're gonna be tracing all that's going on with COVID. I was in CVS the other day and I heard a gentleman ask the woman behind the counter for a testing kit, and she was able to provide the last one that's in the store. So there's a lot of home testing going on, and knowing that the state is bringing many, many thousands, millions of tests to put in the hands of people instead of going to get tested at a facility that reports to the state. My question is, how is the city of Gloucester really going to trace COVID, knowing there's home testing going on that reports to nobody, whether it's positive or a negative test, and that person is now put on an honor system to quarantine, or they don't have to say anything and just walk out the door. So it seems to me this whole contact tracing is going to change pretty rapidly with all these new tests coming to the state, and I'm wondering what the city's response is to that.
Our response is have a good conversation with the governor. He's the one who's pushing this. So I
Reality
agree.
is it's happening though.
Yeah, but I agree. You're absolutely right. It's going to make it exponentially more difficult. We just received our shipment today. These test kits are specifically geared towards people at or below the poverty line in the community. So we've reached out to about 10 different partners in town to basically get them out of our hands and into their hands and helping their clients. So we have the Open Door Action, Gloucester Housing Authority, Gloucester Family Health Center, Veterans, Rose Baker Senior Center, the Day by Day Adult Daycare Center. All of those folks are going to get those tests. A lot of those tests are going to be utilized direct service to their clients, and they're going to be staff on hand to help them through that process. So I think that helps a little bit. But for those folks who are going to get them, they may need them to be able to return to work or as a requirement of work. And you're right, they won't hit the system if they do wind up positive. But if it's one step that keeps them from going someplace and possibly spreading the virus, or at least thinking to wear a mask if they are going outside, I'll take that and call it a victory right now.
Samantha?
Two comments / questions. So back to Max, you said something about the Gloucester Daily Times, and correct me if I'm wrong. Has the Gloucester Daily Times reported on this 9.9% positivity yet?
Not to my knowledge, no. The last time I saw a report from the Gloucester Daily Times, they did it as part of a regional assessment, and that was at least a month ago.
Okay.
So the report from Gloucester Daily Times is on.
I know, so I was gonna make a comment that I'm so glad you're here, Ethan, because I wondered why it hasn't really been sort of front page news. So it would be really helpful if we could, push that information out to the greater community, because from my perspective as a parent in the schools, like I hear how bad it is, but there's a lot of people who are not involved in the schools who have no clue, right? Like there's people, my parents' generation, that are completely out of the loop. And as a community, we're not really doing a good job of getting that information out, and the Gloucester Daily Times is, responsible for that. So hopefully they can make that a priority. My second comment is, as a committee, right, our focus needs to continue to be that the protocols are such right now that if kids are positive, they miss a lot of school. So, and that really.
What? Oh, if they're positive, you're right.
If they're positive.
Yeah, it's positive.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I'm like,
yeah.
how is that wrong?
No, you're right. Sorry.
So, and that hurts them, that hurts our system, right? And so I think we have to continue to put that into focus, that And that to me needs to be our messaging as a committee, right? That like, we don't want kids to miss school, so what you do outside of school matters, because your kids could miss potentially 10 to 14 days of school, right? And that's, the public health department, obviously, they know more than we do about the health piece of this, but from our perspective, our messaging needs to be consistent around, we need you guys to do your part to keep kids in school, period. Because it's hurting our district, it's hurting our kids, to have kids out of school for that long of a time. So I hope that from our perspective, we can continue to focus on that and get that messaging out.
Laura?
So just to follow on what Sam said, part of that is that if you're a close contact outside of school, you also miss 5 to 10 days of school.
Yeah.
So that's a piece of these big birthday parties, that's a piece of this, right? It's not, if it's a contact in school, it's a different thing. So that's part of this. And I want to say something else, Max, and please correct me, really, please correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, vaccinations change the game, except our 0 to 5-year-olds are not vaccinated. 65% in this city of our 5 to 12-year-olds are not vaccinated. Those who have started the protocols are not at the end of the protocols, right? So we're at the beginning of a surge, it appears. And my understanding of Omicron is that they're still trying to figure out, it may be milder, it may not. But what I'm understanding, and again, Max, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that, you know, the infectivity rates are going straight up at places like Cornell and other places that are being hit by this. My understanding is that even if it's milder, if, you know, 6% of a million are ill, or if 0.5, it's many more people who need hospitalization or care. So my understanding is that we don't know enough yet. And we are in this winter surge already with Delta, and we're moving into something new, it appears, in January. I mean, do you think that's fair to say, Max?
I think it's fair to say that we don't know enough about Omicron to make any decisions on its actual impact on public health. Again, like I said before, what Ben's crew is going to face, what my crew is going to face, is that regardless of the flavor of COVID that we have, if there are active cases, they're going to be isolated and they're going to be out of school on your side and out of work on our side. So, I mean, I think we have to keep that impact in mind. And, but, you know, the one thing, as far as I'm concerned, is the lowest hanging fruit of all of this, and you are already doing it. This committee should take great pride in taking leadership in this fact that you did require masking in the schools for staff and students, and continue to do so. I know nobody likes it. I completely agree. It's not the most fun, but it's better than getting sick and dying. So we'll take that. And, but, you know, we're, from the department's perspective, we have to pick and choose, because of our limited staff and resources, where our focus is going to be. It's got to be outreach, we all agree, and it's got to be getting vaccinations done. So that's the direction that we're going in.
Any taken?
That was your.
Mayor?
Tafia, you have a hand up?
I'm here. You know what? We went through this last night. I'm gonna go through it again, and people need to hear this, because the fact is, it's getting over and over and over. We are ahead of the game as far as our city buildings. We've been having no mask mandated since September. Some of the schools, some of the people are now, you can see Channel 5, they're mandating masks for officials to mandate masks. We've already done that. So we've already been ahead of the game, but yet we're not ahead of the game, okay? So what we need to do is, okay, we asked for testing. He was giving it to most of the communities who had lower income. And I said, it's hard for ours, and you know, whatever. We did get some. And we need to make sure that we reach out to the communities that would not be going to some of these places to get them. We need to reach out, like I said, we need to do 1, 2, 3 schooling again on how to do the home testing. We need to help our English as a second language, not only their students, because the students are the one who actually translate for their parents. And we have that in the school. We should be giving them out to some of the students to make sure that it goes to that population, to reach out to our Human Rights Commission, where they reach out to the Brazilian, the Guatemalans, and all of those communities who do that. Action has the Spanish community. We have Marissa Alves, who is our Brazilian community liaison, which we should be doing. Also, there's a big misinformation out there, and this is what's mind-boggling. Unfortunately, when people are doing their home health test, they're not realizing, okay, so let's say I was next to Max and Max tested positive. I have a fear, I run home and I do my test. I'm coming back, oh, it's negative. I have no symptoms, I'm fine. I can go to work, show the test and go to work. Well, guess what? That's not the way it's supposed to be done. Because they're telling you, you're gonna get false, either negative, because the fact is you have to, because a person has no symptoms, the Max could say, I'm positive. I was with him all day long. He's not showing any symptoms. So I think, oh, well, I had a vaccine or two, I'm fine. It's absolutely not wrong. You have to really quarantine yourself, wait at least 2 to 3 days, like they say, and then do the home test. You're not going to get the right information if you go home and went, oh no, I was next to him. And guess what? I'm negative. I can go to work. So what's happening? They are going to work. They're showing they have negative test. And yet after 3 days, they're starting to show either no symptoms or a little bit. And then when they go redo the test, they're showing positive. Meantime, and they've already been around so many people. Those people now have been exposed, and here we go again. Unfortunately, people don't understand, oh, they have a home test, they're showing negative. We need to do the ABCs of schooling again of what needs to be done. Yes, the CARES Act ends at the end of December, but I said, and I had Kenny in my office when I spoke to Ben, good luck if you can find nurses, because Max is going crazy. If we can find the nurses, fine. He says, but you can find screeners, don't worry about it. We will help assist. There's OPI money to assist. There is ways that we will assist, this funding. My main concern is not finding the funding to find these people, is finding the people to actually do the jobs. So Ben knows that if he can find screeners for the school side, absolutely go get them. Nurses, God bless you, because Max, like he said, has been trying, and at least we have the 2 full-time. And they also said on Cindy, she said, I will open a mini clinic if I have to on Friday and have no insurance, walk-ins if they want. You know what? Applaud them. They are trying the best we can. We also, the Massachusetts Fishermen's Partnership, had to actually expand theirs walking and their testing, because they had flu shots and people want first time and boosters. 500 people were served. 500. People are now asking for certain things because they're afraid 2 vaccines is not doing it. There's a lot of misconception. Well, if I had 2, I'm fully vaccinated, but what's the sense? Because I'm getting it anyways. Well, I might as well get it, whatever. Or you're not going to end up in the hospital. I'm going to put a little bit of more fear in people. And you know what? We need to remind everyone, social distancing. It's not just the mask, because I'm telling you, people are buying all these crazy masks that are nothing. They're not even secure here like they used to. They're not even covering your face completely, or they're using the same mask, not even washing it. They're not, what the hell, as long as I have one on, who cares? Okay, using whatever they want and whatever put over. We need to go back to, day one. Please, be careful, social distance, really quarantine when you have to. If you don't, even if you don't, you've been vaccinated twice and you may say you don't have a system, wait for that test to really come through. If you have any questions, yes, you can call. Hand sanitizing again all around. We forgot to that. I don't see people taking that around anymore. I don't see them in stores like they used to. I think everyone just said it's okay. Okay, you're right. Birthday parties, weddings. It was a lot of confusing if last night, and I think that the Board of Health will get to a solution where they have the numbers. And like we said, I have the numbers, you have the numbers, City Council have the numbers, but Max, I don't know if that please don't share with the public was on from prior. If we should be sharing that with the public, what you're sending us weekly, because that'll be easier for all of you and everyone else to, okay, copy and paste, send it out. Send us something that where, you know what, we can copy and paste and we can all get it out there to let people see the numbers, because I used to do it all the time. And even though it's on the website, people are saying they can't find it. I don't mind sharing it. I don't mind going on to, you know, the Board of Health page and getting it and putting there, whatever. Like I said, this is for today. I don't know what's going to happen. Mayor-elect Verga was on the Board of Health meeting. He knows. I also texted him during the meeting and said, Greg, you know what? I don't care what anyone says. We all grew up together. We all know each other. And people might think I'm not an expert, but I am. When it's come now to COVID, I'm sorry, people. 30 years in healthcare, working with the doctors, working with that. Max can tell you on every single Zoom you can think of, doing the volunteer work, getting that, and also doing the training and the test. I'm a better expert than Berger, not as your health professionals. I will be there. He can text me anytime, because you know what? A life's a life. We lost a 41-year-old and we're all hurting. And no, you know what? I'm not saying, oh, you could have been mad. It doesn't matter. A life is a life, and we need to prevent it. And how we can prevent a life that should still be walking around is up to each individual, because you're going to have that. Everyone wanted their vaccine. It was a fair get it, and we didn't give it. Now it's saying, well, you know what? I don't believe it. Look what you're hearing. I'm just saying a little bit of respect. Put the mask on even if you don't believe on it. If you want to go into a supermarket, that's your choice. You can't do that until we can figure out and let people know that, you know what, cases are climbing and they're dropping just as fast as they're climbing, is because when you're vaccinated, it's not lasting. It really is not. You're not getting some of them not getting any symptoms positive. Last 2 or 3 days, they come with a negative. They still quarantine and they're going back. And it's really important we get the information. We have to do the videos. We have to do what we have to do. But that's what the most important thing. You're right, Melissa. No one's going to know when they do the home testing. It's, you know, it's the honor system. But you know what? Life, everyone can cheat in everything they wanted to. They can cheat on their vaccines. They can cheat on. I trust the community to actually do the right thing if we give them the information to use it. Before you run and do your home testing kits, make sure you talk to someone saying, I was exposed, somebody called me, where do I go? I can't, you know, we're trying, and Max, thank you very much. We're going to be getting overwhelming. They're going to be opening the stage 4 park for COVID testing, for the PCR, the program, because the one that they were doing with the open door is 1,000 people. They expected maybe 50, not 1,000. It's just people getting tested. Some of them prematurely, because they said, I went there and I was positive, but then I'm negative, so I can go to work because I did the home test, and vice versa. Unfortunately, like I said, we'll see what we can do. There is opera money. There's CARES Act. Kenny will work on it with Gary. And he will work with Gary to make sure that the schools in the city side are getting what they need. Get your screeners if you need your screeners. If you can get extra nurses, share them with Max, because we can get that. We'll get the fundings, because this is too important. But I want to do a video, whether the students do the video or whoever does that video. That's the first thing is, first of all, you got to put it in 3 languages. What's the proper way to do the testing? Okay. It's not like, okay, let's do it, put it in your nose and it's done. It's not. If you don't get it right, it's going to come false and people are going to think they're okay. So be careful when you get your home testing, no matter where you get it, is to really know how to do it. Because I've done 2 at home, and actually, to be truthful, my husband had to do mine because I wasn't understanding. And they say, oh, it's just as easy if you do a pregnancy test. Well, guess what? I never did one of those either. So how the hell am I supposed to know? And the fact is that, you know, and that's what the governor said. I said, well, I'm glad maybe your kids do it, but my kids, I don't understand it. It's not as easy as you think, because the way you have to put it in, if you put it in wrong, you're going to get a false result. So we're working on it. I'm still going to be involved, like I said, because this is too much that one person to hand it over to Greg and say, here you go, Greg. You know what? So don't think that, you know what, I'm not going to be there. Like I said, I am going to be there, different title. I'm going to help whatever the school needs, whatever you need to get. You got to get that, Ben. Ben, you have to listen. You've got a Board of Health who wants to help, but you also have Jeff Paco who needs it. He wants to get what he needs to get done, people. So school committee members, emphasize on trying to get the right information out there, because I won't be here the new year, but I'll try to help you. But you also need to say, no panic, wear your mask. The kids are showing us. Jason Gross said it perfectly. How come last year when our students thought they were the ones who were spreading it and they could never get it? Remember they said students couldn't get it, kids couldn't get it. They were doing what they were supposed to. Now they're teaching all of us, aren't they? You saw the students today teaching us a lot. Why can't we save a student's life? because you heard the numbers of the children who get it. Preschool got it. Remember that. Preschool got it. Everyone can get it now because we don't know what's out there. It's again starting from day one of the unknown. Sorry about being Debbie Gloomer, but unfortunately, that's the whole results. And if Max, you can get that information out that where they can get that, copy and paste it and put it out there, that would be great. They will help you because if we're going to have to depend on others, it's not going to work. Depend on yourselves to get that information out there. Thank you.
Joel?
So to touch on something that Laura brought up, I think it's important because there's one distinction that's being made between the impact of any strain on an unvaccinated versus vaccinated person. But I think especially as we hear more about the new wave, and if it does prove, if this anecdotal stuff does prove that it's lower. So this comes from the president of Cornell, whoever, you know, if you read the news, they were having an explosion out there right now, and they're at like a 98% vaccination rate, you know, a significant boosted rate, and they're still, you know, 900 new cases last week, right? And so this is very brief, but I thought it was really a good illustration. So I say, if you take two variants, you call one A and you call one B. You say A gets, you know, in 1% of cases, serious illness for A. It's the scarier one. And B, it's only, you know, 0.1, so a tenth of as many. But if A infects on average 2 people, and B, the less likely to get you hurt, infects 4. You run that 10 times. After 10 iterations of A, which is the more deadly one, but spreads slower, you have about 1,000 cases and 10 people severely impacted, right? You take that milder one that spreads to twice as many people, you run 10 iterations, you're at 1 million cases and 1,000 people. Now, again, obviously in the island of Gloucester, there are 1 million people, and there's limits where these things run into, but it's an important distinction that there's a, you know, just because if a variant is milder but much more effective at spreading, then even if it's less likely to hurt, or it hurts a lower percentage of the people it affects, it will still hurt in total more people because it'll get to more people than the less effective spreader, scarier will. And that's different than, you know, the impacts of these viruses against vaccinated people versus unvaccinated people. So I think it's important that we have this conversation, as people in the community have the conversation about Omicron, or it might come out, it's like, oh, it's not as bad. You go, you know, it may not on a 1-to-1 be as bad, but if it spreads the way they're saying it spread, the end result is actually worse because it hits so many more people. So I thought that was a really helpful email that came out from the Cornell president. I thought it'd be useful for us. So that's what I'm gonna read it. Thank you.
Laura?
So just point, like, Max, where can Gloucester residents go weekly to find these numbers, like easily, clearly? Where is that place?
So actually, if you could hold on just 1 second, let me, and if I can do a screen share at some point.
Can Max screen share?
Yep.
You can share now, Max.
Thank you. Hold on 1 sec. Just waiting for it to come up. So actually, this would probably be a good point to do this. So let me do this. All right. So everybody can see this?
Yeah.
So we're at the city website. You go under departments,
Yep.
health department, COVID-19, right there. Click on that. You have vaccine and testing information, Gloucester by the numbers, which is what you're interested in, info and FAQs, and what's in the news. We try to update that as often as we can. But Gloucester by the numbers every Thursday, generally speaking, it depends on how busy the department is as to how soon this will go up. It sometimes is Friday, and I apologize for that, but it's just kind of busy. So you click on here. There you go. So this is 12/6 through 12/8, and these were the numbers at that time. So it's gone down a little bit, but as you can see, there were 2 deaths. You can see the percent of positivity rate at that point was only 6, well, only 6, and then 2,500. So, but it goes down, vaccination rates, and links to get to go to the outside sources for some information. So that's that.
So Max, I appreciate that. I mean, that's like 5 clicks, you know, 6 clicks to get like to a lot of dense information. I know you're not a website developer. I'm not proposing that, but I think we as a city and we as a district need a much more direct way to get that information out. Maybe it's the Gloucester Daily Times, maybe it's, I think infographics on Facebook are very helpful. But I just urge everyone involved in this to make it a lot simpler. You know, and again, Max, that's, you know, you're public health, you know, you're director of the Board of Health, but you're our health director, but you're not, you know, a communications professional. But I do think, I think we need to make this much, much simpler information for people. to
Well,
get
I
hold of.
think you've actually hit the nail on the head when you said that getting it out. So yes, we can create static sites that update information where people can go to if they're looking for information. But it takes you folks and everybody else to be involved to get that information to the next step, to into the faces of the people who this is going to matter to. There are going to be some people you're never going to convince no matter what you do. There's nothing, yeah, I don't even.
It's not about convincing, this is just facts.
Right.
It's just
Exactly. Well,
information.
they'll question the facts, trust me. But anyway, but that's the trick. It is everybody's responsibility, because we were getting feedback from city councilors that, yes, okay, we get this information, but how are you getting that out there? It's like, you have constituents. You get this information. How are you sharing it with your constituents so that they're aware, so that they're updated? It can't just be, you know what you should do? Those are those famous words we always hear. And it's like, you know what you can do? You can do this as well. And it's not that hard.
Absolutely, no question. Thank you.
So I mean, I do think that those numbers or a link directly from the homepage, you know, of the city's website is makes a lot of sense. I'd say this from my point of view, the help we need now is in two areas. One is pushing hard on vaccinations and boosters, okay? And that means, you know, we need people to do that. You know, neither Max nor I are have a communication outfit, okay? Mayor, much of that's from you, Mayor, you know, or whoever, but we need somebody or some people to do that outreach on vaccinations and boosters are crucial right now. And testing and taking care of yourself when you have symptoms or if you're close contact. The other place, and I've already mentioned this, but it's two pieces. There's contact tracing, which, you know, the Board of Health had a much more robust contact tracing outfit a year ago. Okay, and our nurses did a lot, and our principals did a lot of that. Now both groups are overwhelmed. Okay, we are hiring contact tracers. We're training 3 tomorrow. We already have 1, Cal, who came over from the Board of Health. I think you're trying to hire Max, but we need contact tracers, okay? Because we can't keep up with it. And then the follow-on to contact tracing is once we've done the contact tracing, it's the communication to families. And that's another place where right now we can't keep up with it. Okay, so that's another place that we need support and either getting people to do that kind of work. To tell families what to do, when their deadlines are, that sort of stuff. And then the other piece is yeah, so it's those sorts of things.
Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to ask, actually it's a question and make a statement at the same time. So Ben, on our side, and this is what I was trying to allude to previously when I kind of lost my train of thought. When it comes to actual contact tracing, the stance of the state now is that we are focused almost exclusively on active cases, and we ask the active cases to reach out to their people that they've been in touch with to let them know that they're an active case. So the state, and basically that's what was happening anyway, because the various health departments and all the communities were just too overwhelmed to do all the necessary contact tracing. Under DESI's guidelines, are you able to do the same thing, or you're stuck still having to do the traditional contact tracing?
Yeah, we've got to identify all the close contacts. We have to know whether they're 3 feet or more. We have to, you know, and what we're getting stuck with in some ways is, you know, we can get a list from outside, you know, so we're charged with identifying close contacts within the school. Now, to some degree, we're faced with it is also identifying close contacts out of school. We can't do that, you know. And so, like, recently we got a list from a local sports team saying these are all people that they had identified as close contacts. They didn't identify them; it was a list of their whole roster. wasn't our sports teams. We can't do that work, you know? So, and also, Max, like you said, like, you guys aren't staffed the way you can do that work either, but we have to identify all the close contacts in school and then do all the communication with them. And with our numbers right now, that's just proven very difficult to do. Our nurses literally, it's too much. So I think these contact creations we're bringing on will help. But there's still a level of communication we need to do that we can't do. And that's partly on the outreach, whether it's parties or it's vaccinations or boosters, but it's also a communication with families about this.
Can I just also confirm something? So your vaccination status can determine whether or not you need to do the test and stay.
Yes.
So for people who are vaccinated, that also reduces sort of essentially the infrastructure burden of that type of contact tracing for those people. They don't have to get tested.
It doesn't eliminate the kind of tracing, because you have
The
to
testing
find
is what I
out,
mean.
but it eliminates the follow-up.
So
You still want them to know that they were a close contact, so
But they don't
monitor
have to get
symptoms.
tested every single time.
But they don't get tested, it's not, right, we're in changes, I can show you, changes day to day on our testing, levels. But
They don't have to get tested if they have no symptoms. If they start showing symptoms, they have to
Yes.
take the test,
Yes.
no,
vaccinated or
no,
not.
if you're test and stay, you are
Yeah.
tested every day for 5
No.
days. We're talking about vaccinated or
Vaccinated, that's what she's
Right.
saying.
Oh, you're vaccinated, sorry,
That's
vaccinated
what
or
I'm
not.
saying. Yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
she's saying.
vaccinated, okay.
Yeah, unless, so they don't need to get tested unless they show symptoms.
Right, but there are two things I'm talking about. One is the testing work,
Contact.
and one is the close contact, the contact tracing work.
Yeah.
They're two different things that can be done by different people.
Yeah.
But because of the state has staffed us up with National Guard, 2 teams of National Guard over the past week, this week is really the first full week, okay? And they're intending to get us more contractors, anticipating more cases after the December break, that we're managing that, okay? We may not, we're managing, not great, especially this week, it's very difficult. But the contact tracing communication stuff is very, very hard right now, okay? And it's hard to keep up. And what our nurses do is they try to, and I appreciate this about them, they try to fill in and do all the communication as well.
Yeah.
And it's too much. But what would be helpful is in some way, whether it's through the city or is to do we need more, I feel we need more communication across the city from personal networks, from the leaders on communicating about vaccinations, boosters, and staying home if you're sick. And gatherings.
It's almost like we need like a phone number that you call and say like, I had this, I'm a close contact, what do I need to do? You know what I mean? Like,
But there's no one,
there's nobody to
nobody answers
say.
the phone.
No, but that's what I'm saying,
Oh,
like, instead of us doing the outreach, it's like we're encouraging other people, like, hey.
Yeah.
I don't know, for the schools anyway, I'm talking about back to schools. I was talking about citywide a second ago.
Yeah.
For schools, I don't know how we don't do the outreach. I don't know how, meaning, I'm not sure how we can have someone else do it. We never have.
Just, if I may, real quick, and just to kind of give some regional perspective on all of this, I was in a meeting recently that involved a number of public health directors from the North Shore area down to Salem, Lynn, et cetera. And this is the exact same conversation they were all having. And the exact same conclusion that they came is that, when summer came, everybody kind of loosened their grips when the state of emergency was released. Everybody said, okay, great, we've got the summer. The numbers went down because everybody was outdoors. And we got out of the habit. Those weekly messages, those bi-weekly messages of here's our status, please stay, safe, and here's what you can do, here's where you can get vaccinated, here's to get vaccine information, here's where to get testing information. All of that stopped, and everybody in all of those communities are having this exact same conversation, trying to ramp that all back up again, and how to do it aggressively and quickly.
I want to go back to one thing, which is I think back to the birthday party and not handing out invitations. So yes, we will do that. I do also think that parents can and need to tell other parents. You know, our messages are falling flat, I think. People, you know, thankfully listened very closely last year, but for good reason, tired, exhaustion, why be done with it? People aren't listening as much. But that means that I think you need more messengers. So I really would urge you as parents and your networks of parents have got to also tell parents, like, please stop. This isn't healthy, this isn't safe. Not easy to do, understand that. I do appreciate that. But I think we need more messengers and more folks who are closer to families. I worry that without a huge blitz from public leadership, it's just not getting through.
Can I just respond to that? I'm not trying to be negative or anything by saying this. I think I hear the message that people need to hear the message. I don't think you're taking into consideration the fact that many have heard the message, but they're not complying with the message because they don't take the position of some on the school committee. So I
I'm
think
sorry, what position is that?
that you shouldn't have a party. You know, many people are having parties. By us saying you can't distribute the invites in school, which I agree, I mean, because that's who we are as a body. That doesn't mean the party is gonna stop, you know? So I think we're putting a lot on the fact the message isn't out there when I truly believe that the message is out there. Just people, like the Board of Health was discussing last night, are taking their individual rights to make choices of what they want to do for their family. We can tell families what to do when they're in school, but when they leave school, the masks come home, go off. The kids go off on the weekends. They're interacting with other kids without masks. And no matter how much messaging we get out there, if the parent and the student does not believe that it really makes a difference, it's not going to change anything. So I just don't want to give a false hope that, oh yeah, we're all going to get this message out. The messages, I think, are out there. People want the data. And I think last night when one of the doctors was talking about the risk level, are we red, are we yellow, are we green? I think getting stuff like that out in the community is very important because there's not enough information out there because all of a sudden our emails became private, which I still to this day don't understand why statistics became private. But I think we're putting a lot of false hope into the fact that just by getting the messaging out, it's going to change. It's people's attitude towards COVID. It's the way that it's morphing. It's the way that we're not controlling it. It's the way that herd immunity seems to be coming because you get breakthrough COVID. They said it's only a matter of time before everyone has COVID. You know, stop looking at how many cases of COVID we have. Look at how many hospitalizations we have. And why are they in the hospital? Are they there really for COVID? Or are they going to like the emergency room because they can't get in touch with their private care physician or see them for 3 weeks? So they are going to the emergency room with sniffles and colds, only to find out that they don't have COVID. And that's why our emergency rooms are overflowing. So there's so much more to this conversation. And I just think that it's kind of a little bit of a false hope to think that just by us getting the messaging out there to wear your mask is really going to make a difference, because I think we've done an excellent job in doing that. I don't know what more we can do. People are making their personal decisions, which they have the right to do. And here we are, just falling behind because we can't keep up with the amount of COVID that's going on because we have Delta, that's highly contagious. Omicron or whatever it's called is even more contagious. It's coming, it's never leaving. We just have to figure out how to learn to live with it to some extent. We're not gonna have contact traces for the rest of our life, but yeah, COVID's gonna be here. So I just think there's a lot of faith at the state we're in now to think that messaging is gonna change something. We could talk about this till we're blue in the face all night long, but I don't know that it's really a solution. Hearing from the Board of Health last night, what they wanna do, get more vaccine clinics here, get more kids vaccinated, that is key.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, get more information out to the public so that I know, hey, maybe I don't want to go to a grocery store with a red, but yet I'll go with a yellow. You know, and I'm somebody that doesn't wear a mask as often as some others do. So I think that is where we put our efforts in, is to getting information about COVID and what's really going on with COVID, not just number of cases. Of those 4 people who died, how many were vaccinated? Probably not many, is my guess. when people are in the hospital? Are they in the hospital just for COVID? Or is there other serious conditions going on with their health, which is my guess why they're in there. So I think we're learning more about COVID and the reaction to COVID, and a lot of people aren't as afraid of COVID as we think they should be or we want them to be. And putting faith in just us getting messaging out isn't the right secure way to go, you know, to make us feel good about it. It's getting more information and more detail out there about what's actually going on, instead of panicking and say, oh, we have 80 new cases today. You know, so I don't fall for this world is falling and ending because our numbers are going up, because we knew the numbers were gonna go up. They're gonna continue to go up. There's gonna continue to be more COVID strains. They said we're gonna run out of the Greek alphabet by the time this is over. And that's the reality.
Melissa,
And I'm not here to debate how we each feel, and I'm not gonna sit here all night and do this.
I'm not debating with you at all.
Yeah.
I think you're.
No, I'm not saying that.
You're right on. I think people are done. People are feeling really, they're feeling burnt, and from the conversations that I've had with parents who now have vaccinated kids, right? Their mindset is like, what else am I gonna do? Right? Like, I have my kids are vaccinated, I'm vaccinated, I got my booster. How do I continue to live? And be with family, be with friends, because it's not sustainable for many people to just, to not do that, to not be with family, especially in this town, right? You have to realize that in this town, being with family is very important. And so I think Melissa's right in the sense that like, I really truly do not think that the messaging should be anything about, we're not gonna stop people from getting together. It's just not gonna happen. I think people are at a very different point in this.
But you just passed about not having people talk, people invites.
They're gonna get together anyway.
So, but.
No, but
that confused me.
I'm not going to, my personal choice is not going to birthday parties. But I think as a community or as a school community are saying we should distribute to every single person. So for right now, we should think about that differently. That doesn't mean that people aren't gonna get together.
Oh,
That's my
right.
point.
No, I think that the distinction here is we still have to lead and communicate in a way that stands up and leads the way, that this is the best thing to do.
I 100% agree, but
Right, but I'm not under any false pretense that like that's gonna dramatically change behavior.
Right.
But I don't think it's about us then not like just giving in.
No, I'm not saying
Yeah,
that
right.
we do, but I think the messaging also needs to be about the impact that it's having on our school system, right? Like we are, because of what we have to do to keep our schools open right now, our resources are tapped, right? Like we are being asked to do things that are not sustainable because of the choices that people are making. Does that make sense? Like, the consequences are greater for us as a school system than it is for sort of individuals, I think personally. And so we're feeling that. We're feeling the importance of people not getting together on a very different level than individual families. So I'm not sure, I don't know what the answer is, but like, our messaging has to be very, I think it really needs to be about the vaccine more than anything else, to be honest.
I think,
I
I know, I think we could talk about this all night. We could be here till 2 a.m. I don't think we're going to, I think, the path forward is clear. Everybody needs to be careful, get vaccinated, and not gather, but we can't enforce that. We're doing we're still doing everything we can in the school department to make sure that those things happen while they're here. And I don't like to talk, but I'm just saying that at some point we gotta move on and finish this meeting.
But it's your last meeting, Jonathan, we're gonna keep your own.
Yeah, we're gonna get-
We don't want to see you go.
I just have one more question. Have we contacted the Medical Resource Corps? Have we talked the MRCs? I know they had volunteers. I keep getting emails to volunteer for other community schools as contact tracing, to do a lot of different things too. Are we reaching out to them?
I personally have not, because at this point, when I talked with our nurses for the caseload that we're dealing with. That's why I was kind of asking Ben the question that he has to go through. He has in some regards, a much more difficult task than we do. When I said, if we bring on 2 more part-time people, would you be able to handle the current load? They said yes. If we didn't have that, then, and we have 2 people in mind, we're bringing one on board now. Another one will be coming on board soon. So I'm going to take a pulse after that to see how we're doing. And if yes, if I agree at that point, if it looks as though we're getting overwhelmed, MRC I think is an excellent option if they're still offering that opportunity. And I definitely would encourage Ben to reach out to Lisa to talk with her about getting some assistance.
I will say this very short. I want to say that I really hear you, Melissa. I think you're right. I think for not for everyone will getting information out change behavior, and we can't change behavior outside of school. But to Samantha's point, not only is our system tapped, but if your kid goes to a birthday party and has a close contact, that kid's home for a week, so you can't go to work. So like you can make the choice. Everybody can make the choice outside of school. But the choices have consequences for our families, not just health consequences. Like, if your kid's home for a week, somebody has to watch your kid. So I think there's just all sorts of like follow-on pieces of this. And I think you're right, Melissa, that just saying the thing is not going to change. I agree with you. I know that's true. For some people, I know someone today didn't know about pool testing. I was talking to someone, right? Like people are still trying to figure out what's happening in our schools to deal with this. So I'm just saying there are all sorts of follow-on things that I think we should just make people aware of, and that might be helpful.
And in order to do that, in order to communicate more of pool testing or vaccination clinics, I need some help on communications.
Okay.
We don't have the team to do that right now. Okay? We are not doing as good a job on communications as we last year, because we're tapped. So if we want more of that to happen, then I need some help.
Well, communication subcommittee hasn't met in a while, so let's figure that out.
But it seems to me that communication should come from Max, a lot of it, about the statistics. Come to the school, and then we can distribute it as well. If there's something we can put on our Facebook page that comes from the Board of Health and share it, it's that easy.
But they don't have the resources to do it either.
No, they're gonna be doing some outreach of information. That's
Okay.
what the Board of Health meeting was about last night.
I heard the whole meeting also. Didn't feel like I'm having infographics tomorrow.
Move on.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Max.
Thank you,
Thank
Max.
you, Matt.
No problem, folks. And I think everybody has my contact information. So if you want to reach out to me after this meeting with any follow-up questions or thoughts that you had, please feel free.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.
Let me just share a couple more things here. I'll be quick on these. I just need to show you a little bit about. I think we're going to skip that. No, it's actually surprisingly good.
It was a good report.
Yeah.
So,
Sabathia, we open your cookie container. I'm opening your, I'm emptying mine whole. I have a whole army kit leave. I'm gonna.
So here's our enrollment on a weekly COVID safety
Let me
check
tell you
testing.
something, you're gonna miss me.
We're gonna get your cookies.
Read your cookies.
So one of the things we need to do more of a campaign and communication on is getting people registered for weekly COVID safety check testing, the pool testing. We're doing better in terms of administering it, but we can do better in terms of having kids enrolled. Here are our vaccination rates from today. You can see a 6th grade, which is wasn't eligible, now we're at 40% now, which is actually pretty surprising. So that's going up. Some of these have gone up a little higher. 7th and 8th were low 60, high 50s earlier on, and 11th grade is going up as well. This is you get a sense of how things change rapidly here. So Beeman wasn't doing any test and stay last week, and now you can see these are 45 kids eligible you test and stay. 39 might be doing it on a given day. But at the same time, other schools, hardly any at all. You'll see at the high school, there was 55 and, people eligible, and then, 5 days later, only 5, and then today 0. It changes very rapidly, okay, in terms of how things go up and down, in terms of the level of need for our people, our testers, who are sometimes are nurses and sometimes are contractors, and sometimes National Guard. But it changes rapidly. And Kylie Davis, who was on the call earlier, and now I hope she's asleep, has been remarkable in sort of planning, scheduling, and staffing that. She's been doing incredible work, and she goes wherever we need her, which is also overseeing it all.
Then, quick question about that.
Yeah.
Why is there a distinction between eligible and tested? It's just like kids are absent?
Yeah, the kids, they may choose not to be tested.
Okay.
So they're either, or they stay out. Yeah, I mean, or and because of they're staying out, or they,
Do we have a sense of how many are just saying no and just staying out?
Right there, right?
I think this is the best numbers we have on this. I
Okay,
mean,
okay.
it's not like I can't say everyone has, if you see 5 here and 3 here,
Yeah.
definitely, but it's most likely they decide not to get tested.
Okay.
Yep. They also could have been absent for another reason, so.
But eligible, could that be that some of them are vaccinated and they don't need to get
No,
tested?
eligible meaning they can get tested and stay.
Okay,
Yeah, so these are unvaccinated.
got it, thank you.
So that's what we have. The attendance report, if you were able to look at it, is actually quite good, but we could say that for another day, unless folks want
Can
to
we
see
get the
it.
Reader's Digest on it?
Yeah, let's do that.
Sure. Greg is
I'm not
right here, been here all night.
Yeah, you have the data, you gotta look at it. I think just to draw your attention to a couple things. 1 year ago at the high school, the English learner population we were at about 70% attendance rate. That's current 1 year later, just about the same time as 89%.
Wow.
The high school, the English learner population actually has a higher attendance rate than the general population.
Wow.
I point that out because it was an area of significant concern. It's been an area of focus. And I just, gotta hand it to Sabrina Giordano, Millie Zink, Vanessa Lindbergh at the high school. They've just been working really, really hard, and I can't draw a one-to-one connection between that, but it certainly suggests to me that a lot of that outreach and close attention to families, students and families is, to have that same group, we were very worried about it. Attending more than the general population is pretty amazing. Chris Castle and Augustina Parsons at the elementary schools have also been doing morning coffees with families, and the attendance rate across the district is quite high. In general, our numbers are almost back, even though you've been hearing a lot about quarantining and absence. Despite all of that, our numbers are almost where they were in 2019, 2018. So just, I was very surprised and impressed to see our numbers where they are. I would expect, given the amount of illness absences, that would be a lot lower. So a lot of good work going on.
Great, thank you. Thanks. I appreciate you doing the report out ahead of time.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
great.
We had a building committee meeting, building finance committee meeting for this meeting.
There's no action, but I highly recommend people look through the presentation on the budget development process. It's not only thorough, but also kind of inspiring as its connection to our district improvement plan and how we have principals and everybody feeding in. And thinking that through as they're submitting their funds needs and reevaluating what they may not be able to have. So I've asked that it was put on the front of the website or somewhere so that you can see it. It's a really thoughtful way of approaching our budget.
Once it's up, we can Facebook that out on the school committee Facebook, that'd be great. too.
Yeah.
So we can go through all that. We went through a draft of memorandum of understanding regarding the agreement with the Department of Public Works. So Gary and Ben are going to continue working on that and working through with my help.
You know, or let us know when that presentation is available. Is that this
It's also in our packet. It's going to be in our packet.
That's what I'm. Okay, is it this?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
That's
Okay. Great. We have a couple of action items. At our last meeting, we went through the superintendent presented a process for the naming of the East Gloucester Veterans Memorial School, and he'd like to have us approve that process.
One thing I wanted you to consider was whether or not named after people,
what's the question?
whether it should be named after, whether we should have the possibility of it named after a person, or if you want to limit that. You have it in your policy, which I can put up to you, like, that that's a possibility, but I think in the past you may have limited that in some way, shape, or form. But right now, mailing beam are the only schools that are named after somebody.
The naming committee in the past, before COVID, has met a couple times. And we did discuss the topic about naming after a particular person, and we did not go in that direction. We felt that some concerns came with that. And didn't go in that direction. So I don't, are you asking tonight if you want an answer to that
If we want
question?
to limit it in the policy.
I would like,
and then-
it's, if you're, I would like some direction on that. Doesn't have to be tonight, but it's only have to be in the first meeting of June.
I thought our policy said that we didn't.
We as
But then
a
reviewing it.
committee,
We've said it a number of times
Yeah.
in discussions about all of the issues we've had around
sometimes a bench after somebody.
things that are named after people and where do they go when they disappear, you know, and, you know, that, once again, I'll just bring up the issue about NATO's and not to take anything away from Joseph NATO's, but 51 Gloucester residents died in World War I. And there's only him and Newell and is it Parsons? What's the deal with East Gloucester? Yeah, Parsons. Those are the only things that are named after World War I veterans.
There's also more inclusivity if you have, if the school is named after not a single person, or
Right.
a concept or something else that's a little broader. You know, the whole purpose, as was discussed last time, is that this is about commingling the two communities and bringing them together. You know, one of those names was the
so it was an East Gloucester
name
or veteran's name, and you know, and we've gotten some communication from the veterans agent, basically saying he's in favor of naming things after groups, not after individuals.
Yeah, I had to mention that about groups. He definitely mentioned that.
You know, and where they're more inclusive. So I would, you know, since I'm not going to be here, if you take a vote down the road, I would say no names.
I think the struggle is when you name something after someone and then you need to make a change to it for some reason. The pushback is so strong, as if somebody owns it other than us, because there is that name there. I mean, we learned that in Natos, we learned that with the field at Fuller. So as much as I respect naming things after people, I know my vote going forward would likely not be to name it after a particular person for that reason.
Is it easier for the next committee if we take this vote tonight?
The struggle with veterans is that school was named for all veterans.
It's a group, I mean,
Right,
yeah,
so
it's a group. A
that's-
group is different.
Right,
Yeah,
I see that
yeah,
differently.
right,
Yeah.
That's what I
We
said.
can take a vote. I mean, I'd be willing to take a vote tonight. Yeah.
But my burden the next committee with it, we've been dealing with this subject for so long, just, you know. So,
Okay, so we will amend the process.
was there, we need, well, maybe we gotta get a motion up there on.
Yeah, I was just gonna start by saying, we have we reviewed the process at our last meeting. And, so what I was gonna say is we would amend that process by saying we're not gonna accept names, individuals. So the first vote would be to amend the process.
Well, for the first time, I think Joe will fall off his chair. I agree. It's part of East Gloucester and it's part of Memorial, so nobody gets offended. East Gloucester Veterans Memorial School or East Gloucester, whatever. Keep the two names, combine them. It's because, you know what, you can say, well, why don't we give East Gloucester a chance to name the school because they're being transported to over there and they get to keep the same site. Why don't you just do it both? It's still in East Gloucester. Don't forget the wards are changing to Ward 1.
Well, we're just talking about the process about how.
I know, but I'm just telling you, because there's so many people that asking, you know, so many people did so much good for the city and they all want something part of it. If you start doing, I don't agree in names, you're right, because then it should be, you know, why don't we name it after Brian Tarr? Why don't you name it after this one or the library after him or after this one or after that one? The fact is that, you know what? It's going to be my last meeting, well, unless we go next Wednesday, but it's going to be my last meeting that I actually agree with Joel.
There you go. I will admit though, the end of all this ends up being called EG vets. I'm gonna fall off my chair laughing.
All right.
But so I think we have to make a motion on the policy and then amend what's out there, right?
Well, I only go through the whole thing.
Fine, whatever it is,
Yeah,
just
all
make sure we do it right.
I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the process, the naming process as presented at our last meeting with the following amendment that we're going to not, we're gonna exclude names of individuals. And I so move.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Good luck.
Well,
That's not discussion.
by eliminating, it should be easier.
I think it should be easier, and I think it should generate kind of more creative
Yeah, I agree.
ideas.
Less hard
and-
feelings. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In general.
You know, the four families of Stephen East Gloucester, and I said, those are.
Okay, is there any actual discussion?
No.
He knows, I was a middle school principal.
No idea.
Didn't exist on the
It's my
committee.
principal at
Who's that?
Okay, so,
Over there on the wall.
oh, that's Elliot Parker.
Focus.
Sorry. So, we have a motion and a second, and there's no more discussion. Maria, could we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Prince,
Can you come back to me?
What?
I'll vote yes.
Mayor Taken,
Yes, because if you don't, it's going to be chaotic.
Ms. Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Weason. Yes. Kathy Clancy,
Yes.
Mr. Favazza,
Yes.
Chairman Pope.
Yes, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. The next order,
Well, you know what? It doesn't mean that it can go because the next school committee can change it. So, and you know what? Que sera.
At this time.
Four people on your mind.
the next order of business is the approval of the AFSCME B memorandum of understanding effective July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2024. We reviewed this at executive session at our last meeting, and it's been ratified by all 3 or 4 of those members, and it's ready to go public. So I'll make a motion that we approve the ALES meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? None? A real roll call vote?
Ms. Prince,
Yes.
Mayor Taken,
Yes.
Ms. Watson,
Yes,
Ms. Wilson,
Yeah.
Kathy Clancy,
Yes.
Mr. Cavazza,
Yes.
and Chairman Poe.
Yes, it passes unanimously. We're going to table the bus monitors until we get the language squared away, correct?
Just a little grammatical thing. We should clarify that we're not, that.
Yeah, it's not that it's just a language thing. It's not affecting any of the actual nuts and bolts. But we would like to get it right when we vote it. We have 3 grants from Gloucester Education Foundation. Once again, thank you very much. I'll read them all, we'll vote them all at once. The first one is West Parish Grade 5 Production Truck Junior in the amount of $2,500. Plum Cove and Beaman Memorial Mindful Toolkit in the amount of $2,175.73. And the third one is a day in the life video in the amount of $5,833. I so moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Joel?
So I just wanted to get a little more detail. The purpose of the day in the life was to create one quote, day in the life, end quote, video for the transition year of the district's choosing to be used as a communications and outreach tool in spring of 2022. What is that? Sounds good.
We have some GF we want to help families in understanding what's coming ahead for them. Whether it's moving into kindergarten, elementary school, moving to O'Malley, or moving to high school. And so they've been working with their program subcommittee. They've agreed to help us, pilot one essentially. And I think we're doing elementary school. And it'll help incoming families not only know what kindergarten will be like a day in kindergarten, but also what to expect in elementary school. And it'll help them sort of get a picture of what elementary school is like and what's to come. And then if that goes well, as we start to build that, we're hoping to work with GF, getting some support on creating a sort of a plan for communications, and get some help with data collection around what folks need and what would be helpful. And then that may lead to more videos being a part of that plan. So it's sort of one step that we're trying out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Maria, we have a roll call vote?
Ms. Prince,
Yes.
Mayor Taken,
Yes.
Ms. Watson,
yes,
Ms. Wilson. Yes. Kathy Clancy.
Yes.
Mr. Cavazza,
Yes.
and Chairman Poe.
Yes, it passes unanimously. The next one is the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education Grant for FY22 Fund Code 324 in the amount of $20,000, and I so move.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Fund Code 324. You all know what that is, right?
No, what is it for?
It's dropout prevention support, and it's specifically Amy Cam is working with the Justice Resource Institute to provide a coaching and support for students who are at risk for dropout, and should be a good program. Primarily, I actually think the posting is already out to hire the person to hold that position.
It's called the RAISE program. There's another acronym for everybody. It's re-engaging all youth to school, RAISE.
Yeah.
I thought I remembered that one.
That sounds much better than code 324.
Fund code 324.
Okay, any further discussion? Maria, can we have a roll call vote?
Ms. Prince.
Yes.
Mayor Taken,
Yes.
Ms. Watson,
yes,
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Kathy Clancy,
Yes.
Mr. Cavazza,
Yes.
and Chairman Poe.
Yes, it passes unanimously. The next one is the American Rescue Plan Grant in the amount of $10,323, and I so move.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion?
This one's about for servicing homeless children and youth, is that correct? No, no,
That's Chris Castle.
no?
I'm afraid, Chris Castle, I believe, applied for that. I'm afraid I
Christine
don't
Castle,
have
yeah.
details.
Goal of Federal American Rescue Plan is to provide funding for programs that ensure students who are homeless enroll and attend school and have racially equitable and culturally responsive opportunities to succeed in school through the following grant program purposes, and that was left. to be filled in.
So, any further discussion? Maria, can we roll call vote?
Ms. Prince,
Yes.
Mayor Taken,
Yes,
Ms. Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Reason,
Yes.
Dr. Clancy,
Yes.
Mr. Favazza,
Yes,
and Chairman Poe.
Yes, it passes unanimously. As far as an update on the building, East Gloucester Veterans Memorial School project. There's a big building committee meeting tomorrow. It's at an odd time, but it's at 3:00. It's a Zoom meeting, so tune in if you want to see it. We're going to be authorizing the general contractor to enter into contracts with subcontractors. The bids have come in. Once again, they were higher than budget by 600,000 and change. We will also probably be talking about how we will solve that discrepancy, but it won't actually affect these bids. That we rising, because those are we have to take this. There's a little bit, it's just the state bidding process. We'll have to resolve that through either things that are not file sub bids, which we can make changes. So,
I mean, if you go into Home Depot, you'll see that polished concrete floors are just fine. You don't need all this tiling.
well, we have
Just fine for Home Depot.
Yeah, I just
we
don't.
have in West Parish.
No, polished.
Well,
Concrete's kinda nice.
that's in the main entrance, and the art room has all the, like, the glitter and stuff, but
Yeah.
glass in there, right?
But we have polished concrete floors. But as I recall, early on in the building committee, when we were talking about that, a number of people got up and said we can't have them. We can't have.
They look good if we use good concrete. That's the issue. At the tech, when we built the tech, we did concrete.
All right,
A couple years later.
we're going down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have cupcakes, so.
So those kind of things aren't, the bids are in, we can't change the bids. But they have a plan for bringing it into on back into budget. And it'll be changing materials, it'll be changing things like that. So, any questions on the building?
So for all the naysayers out there, it's not that we're going over budget right now, we're just managing the money a little bit differently.
We're managing the budget, we can't go over the budget. Okay.
Right, and so we made some adjustments as we have before, and we haven't touched contingency.
Okay.
And so that's a really important piece. We could have and or advised not to, and we're not. Just smart.
Is there, we got, it's not as a stadium, right, but like, we got a huge chunk of money for naming rights. I'm just, I'm right, I mean, that was, no, right, I'm just saying, is there, not the school itself, but is there anything out there like this,
Like the gym.
Yeah, is there someone who's got $100,000 appetite to name the gymnasium?
I don't know, it says Lindsay and, what's her name, Coolidge on the
On the Y.
on the Y.
Yeah, they're.
Hey, you never
McLeod,
know.
right?
Lindsay, what's his wife's name?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lindsay, I don't know, maybe it's possible.
The new Wisely Cleansey or.
That's something.
Yeah, but there's a.
Or Coolidge, right, so I was saying, just thinking, as far as like, about $500,000 for the New Balance field at Newell Stadium.
We have millions.
Million, full million? So anybody looking to get some permits in Gloucester?
Get it out there.
Buy a gym?
Well, we should look into it. All right, is there anything else about the building? Anything else anybody would like to talk about before we get to go home?
Jonathan, you skipped over the tentative agreement with the nurses.
Oh, I did. Earlier in executive session, we discussed two side agreements with the nurses, and basically, one would be to raise the pay of substitute nurses, and the other one would be to add rather than going to time and a half, but add $5 to the hourly wage of nurses between on their hourly wage when they work 35 hours until they get to the 40 hours, in which time they get time and a half. So, and I so.
Second.
Any discussion? Thank you, Maria.
I just want to say that under discussion.
Yeah.
Usually we don't have tentative agreements within the negotiating part, but because our nurses are working very hard and way too many hours, this is a way of get compensation to them immediately before settling the full contract.
As well as to, make it a little bit easier to get substitutes. So. Okay, so we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Maria, roll call vote.
Ms. Prince.
Yes.
Mayor Taken. Except she left. Ms. Watson.
Yes.
Ms. Weason.
Yes.
Kathy Clancy.
Yes.
Christopher Vaza.
Yes.
And Chairman Poe.
Yes. It carries.
This is just kicked out.
Check it out. Over time. All right. Carries unanimously, with one absent. So before we adjourn, anybody, Joel?
I would just hope that the school committee the next term receive, a report on, receive a report on the various security measures and protocols at various schools, and, make sure that best practices are being adhered to all of our schools.
Anything else?
What about House Bill number 926?
We are waiting on some information from DPW, which we have not received yet, which is, not a problem, and but we're not going to act on it until we get that information, right? So we'll table that.
Sorry, just quickly follow up. Spoke to Chief Conley and Lieutenant Gossam, and the answer is yes to that. They'll be coming forward with the presentation.
Well, thank you all very much, and do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Maria, roll call vote.
Ms. Prince.
Yes.
Mayor Taken is gone. Ms. Watson.
Yes.
Ms. Wilson.
Yeah.
Kathy Clancy.
Yes.
Christopher Vaza.
Yes.
And Chairman Poe.
Yeah, thank you all very much.